And good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on in. My name is Fraser. I am a community specialist working for Paradox Interactive. Today we're joined yet again by my favourite community manager, the only community manager for Hearts of Iron, Per. How you doing, buddy?
I'm doing all right. Lovely Friday. A little bit of
Yeah,
rain today. But not good.
yeah. I feel like we need to have. Maybe we should make that more of like a weekly thing. We get a weekly weather report going on. How's the weather in Stockholm? Windy, pretty much.
Yep.
So looking forward to today. We are going to be doing another Wii tutorial live stream. We're going to cover essentially the basics, how to play Italy. In this case, we're going to cover a bunch of stuff early game, how I would normally go through, how I would set up, my industry, what I would prioritize with like my various production lines. We are not going to be talking about upcoming content, so if you are here for that, I'm sorry to disappoint you. If you are new to the game, or if you're kind of hoping to learn a couple of tips and tricks, potentially this is a good spot for you today.
They're already asking about Navy, but
I do like Navy. In case you might not be able to see it with the camera being a wee bit small, I'm wearing my HMS Belfast hoodie I got whilst visiting HMS Belfast, a town class light cruiser in London. It's fantastic.
at this point, I'm starting to hope you have several of those because I see that almost every day.
I bought 2 of them
Okay.
and 3 t-shirts. So, yeah, the plan is going to be we're going to crack on with a new game. We're going to start off with 1st of January 1936. So there are 2 starting dates. You've got 1936 and 14th of August 1939. The main benefit for the 39 start, it gets you right into the action straight away. However, personally, I tend to start with 36. I like to be able to build up. And yeah, again, I personally feel having 1936, there's a lot of content there to begin with. You know, you've got your, conquest of Ethiopia, you've got the Spanish Civil War, potentially a myriad of other civil wars if you decide to play alt history. So we're gonna go with that, and we're gonna play as Benito Mussolini, Il Duce, and Per. Out of curiosity, how familiar are you with this sort, like a country selection screen? Do you ever look through it, or do you just like pick a country and go
Sometimes
straight away?
I generally start to get to know what country I'm going to play. I
Yeah.
feel like sometimes looking for specific flags that may have changed in the last 100 years or so.
Okay. So one of the things I do quite like about it is, like with most of the other Paradox titles, let's say Crusader Kings or Victoria as good examples, on the country select or the leader select, you can see some of the buffs that they get. So as an example with Benito Mussolini, we can see political power gain plus 10%, maximum command power increase multiplier minus 10%. That'll come into effect later when we're talking about our generals and using any of their command powers, or any of their abilities, like staff abilities. And then also economy, trade, and conscription laws cost minus 15%. Essentially, Benito Mussolini is a fascist in this game. One of the focuses that fascism gets as an ideology is generally bonuses towards their political power gain, their economy, their trade, their conscription laws, the political laws. In a contrast to that, you might look at, let's say, the UK. You've got Stanley Baldwin, starts off Conservative Grandee. He gets plus 5% political power gain and minus 10% political advisor cost. And then all the way over on the other side of things, you've got Joseph Stalin. Again, fantastic example of a communist. He starts out with plus 5% political power gain, minus 10% stability, 5% war support, and a couple others for things like improved relations opinion and subject autonomy game. So each country starts off slightly differently. Again, actually, I can give you another couple of examples there. If we look over at, I cannot see the Finnish one. Finland counts as Europe, right? Like, I mean, it's Scandinavia. Is Finland Scandinavia? Pear?
I am not touching that one. Not going
Okay.
there.
What? Hey, Pear, what happens if a Swedish ship docks in a Norwegian port?
No, what happened?
They Scandinavian.
Oh. I thought I was the one with the dad jokes.
They Scandinavian.
You're the one with the boat jokes. Fair enough.
Okay. Anyway, sorry. I'm so sorry. Yeah, basically, the different countries, they all have different things. You can kind of get a quick look. So, like the Czechoslovak Republic, you can see they've got a couple of different changes there. So, like Agrarian Olgard, plus 10% monthly population. If you click on the country, it'll show you the leader. It'll show you some general stats about that specific leader you start out with. And then it'll also cover, essentially, what are their main modifiers, I guess? Or their main malice. I think malice or focus or concern.
Okay.
So as an example, we go over to Mussolini. You could go down Vittorio Emanuele III. You could go down. Actually, let's have a look. Yeah, so it's. I think these are some of the main, I guess, points about them. So like, if you take like the UK as an example, you can go as you would have British Stoicism as one of your main traits. You have the option to remove the war to end all wars malice or modifier. And you also initially start out with King George V, although he does die like about a month into the game, because that just kind of happened. But yeah, so basically you get to see a couple of things about them, I guess, kind of the main components. National spirits, thank you, Woofer. I couldn't think of the word there. They're the main components of the country that you're playing. So with the United States, home of the free. That's kind of their thing, and you can tell that by the fact that their AI modifiers, the way they choose to play initially, it is quite isolationist. It does take them a while to get into the wars. So they start out with undisturbed isolation, and then also the Great Depression. Most countries have effects related to the Great Depression to one extent or the other. But for the United States, it is particularly bad. So, again, this is quite a good way of just getting a general idea of what do the countries do. So, as an example, the United States, you could go down War Plan Black, and that's going to be, how are we going to beat the Germans? Limited intervention, maybe how are they going to get into the war early on? Or re-establishing the gold standard and using that to kind of rebuild the economy early on. So, a couple of different ways you can play. For us, we're going to be going for a relatively historical Italy. What that means is we're going to focus primarily on Ethiopia. So, we've got Italy here. We're going to be starting off at war with Ethiopia, or in Ethiopia. So, we're going to do that. And again, if you have any questions, probably the best time to ask tips and tricks would be right now during this stream. So, before we get started, would we like to cover any particular questions? I don't know, Per, if you've seen any.
Not yet. I've seen questions about reworking other countries, which, as you said, getting into.
Yeah. Again...
No. There was a request to show divisions.
Yep.
Some templates. So perhaps if we have time later, we can do some basics there.
Yep. Any tips on how to get a girlfriend? I don't know. Crusader Kings is probably your best option, but I believe that might also involve your family tree, so just keep that in mind. Yeah. I think what we'll do, we'll go over kind of step by step. We'll go through all of the notifications first. So first thing I always do, research slots. I personally prefer to go all the way to the end over to industry, because you've got your infantry. That's basically any equipment, guns, any specific division types, or any specific unit types, battalion types for your classic infantier. You've got your support companies. Those are additional support companies that you can attach onto your divisions. So as it says there in the tooltip, infantry equipment and weapons for infantry forces. So you've got support companies, recon, engineers, field hospital, other support. Armor, anything and everything that is related to tanks, armored vehicles, whether that's light tanks, heavy tanks, medium tanks, SPGs, yada yada yada. Or I guess actually technically SPGs. Anyway, down that line, you've got your artillery for artillery, anti-tank, anti-aircraft weapons for divisions. So you've got your anti-air, your artillery, anti-tank. Naval, for your naval stuff. This tends to be more of the ship types here, as well as additional little types of modules that you can put on. You've got your naval support. These tend to be more just general modifiers for most of these, but others tend to be more different modules that you can then put on, different weapon systems. You've got your air, obviously for aircraft, all that stuff. And we'll cover all of this in detail as and when we get to it. Engineering. So you've got your electronic engineering, fortifications, that's mostly for your land forts or coastal forts, atomic research, and rockets. And I notice that a lot of people tend to not really look too much at experimental rockets, whereas they can be really helpful later down the line. Or the ambulance gone past. This can be quite useful later down the line if you're trying to build better aircraft and you want to try and use like the flying bombs for better anti-ship weapons. And then finally get onto your industry and production. I personally start with industry. You really don't know how the rockets work? I think we can cover that later on, so make sure you remind us to look at it. So yeah, we're going to start off production, basic machine tools. That's the first one I always do, and the reason for that, one, it gives us production efficiency cap plus 10%, but the main thing that does is it opens up the rest of the tree. So that's always my number one go-to. The second one would be construction 1, because again, same thing, opens up construction 2 and excavation 1, and it also improves our construction speed. So that's kind of a staple, I would say. Now, Italy starts out...
Basically, you need factories to do everything, so make sure when you do start, you can do it as quickly.
Factories, civilian factories especially, that is your bread and butter. You cannot build things if you don't have factories. You cannot buy things if you do not have factories. And that ties in heavily with your economy. So that's why you tend to see a mixture between your economy, which is the buildings, and your production, which is using the buildings. So yeah, we'll go for those two. As Italy, I would say I'm probably going to focus, I think, more onto electronic mechanical engineering, which by itself is somewhat... It's not as valuable for me, but what I'm looking at here is the research speed, plus 3%, and the fact that with this, I can then move down and unlock radios. And radios are really good for tanks. They're really good for aircraft. Being able to use radios for basically your reinforce rate and your coordination. They can make your units a lot more effective getting into battles. So I'm going to go with that one. And then
are there instances where you wouldn't go into that tree, or not in the beginning?
In the beginning, probably if you have less research slots. So each country starts out slightly differently. So as an example, if I was to tag into Germany, Germany starts out with quite a few. Or actually, sorry, they don't. They start out with 4 as well. I think it's at the UK. UK starts out with a few. No, 4 as well. It's been a while since I've...
countries who start with 2, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, Canada, generally it tends to be... smaller countries tend to also have fewer research slots. So Canada has 3. I think France has 3. Or 3 or 4, I can't remember. Yeah, France has 3. So the point being is that if you're playing as France, you're going to have less that you can do at once, so you might be a little bit more picky for that. Finland's another really good example of that, actually. I really enjoy playing Finland. And Finland can be quite limited, so you need to be a lot more careful about what you want to do. For Italy, ITA. For Italy, we're just going to keep it focused on these ones, and then the last focus, or the last research I'm going to do is probably going to be support weapons. So support weapons 1 takes 191 days, but you then get heavy weapons companies and motorized heavy weapons companies. So for me, I quite like that. If we were to look at the composition of our army, we're going to go for Beretta as our infantry weapons, Mayo. If you look at the composition of our army, we've got 22 infantry divisions and 3 light tank divisions. So,
Fraser, 1 sec. I want to make 2 points. Guys, girls, people, everyone, we're not here to answer content questions. What we're working on, what's coming, we're taking requests. There's so many places you can give us those. We're really focusing on newbie questions here. Teaching people how to play the game. Also, Crypto, can you please generally keep that out of chat? That has no place here. And don't make people spam, because I'm just going to have to kick you, and I don't know what to do.
Yeah. Apologies, I just limited or moved your camera there a second. Yeah. So, yeah, the way I'm looking at this is I want to research things that are going to help the majority of my army, in this case, which would be, I've got 22 infantry divisions, so I'd rather make something that's going to improve those before I make things that are going to improve the tank divisions. Tanks, that can come later. Initially, I'm going to be looking at, well, what's going to help us win the war in Ethiopia? That's going to be the infantry. It's going to be the infantier. So, we've got all of our technology. They are all done. I'm now going to go into civilian factories. Couple of things to highlight here. We'll go from top left to bottom right. So you've got your factories in use. So you can see we've got a total of 21 factories, 21 civilian factories. Of those, 11 of them are not being used. 10 of them are being used by consumer goods. Consumer goods is an abstract concept, or it's an abstraction of your economy. How much of your production is going into civilian goods. You know, because it's 1936, war's a long time away, we're not having total war, we're still in a civilian setting. So you can expect that of your entire economy, a lot of that has to be dedicated to civilian stuff. You know, like bread baskets, or hatcheries, I don't know. Yeah. Your classic civilian stuff that's not... Basically toasters. Yeah. Anything for civilians. And the way that you can decrease that would be through your mobilization. So essentially going from a toaster economy, which is civilian economy there, and you can see... where is it? Expected number of factories put into civilian goods, 35%. If you go all the way down to something like total mobilization or war economy, you see that reduces it down. Can you do me a favor and just time that guy out, please? Thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah. Whereabouts were we? Yeah. So, consumer goods, that's just another way of saying any of your civilian stuff, you can't use it right now, but you might be able to use it in the future. So, we have 10 factories that we can use. We're not using any from trade, or we're not receiving any from trade. If we were trading out goods, if I was playing multiplayer and someone bought my resources, I would get factories for those. So, if I went to trade and I bought 8 coal from the United States would get 1 civilian factory for that. So quite often if you're playing multiplayer, you would trade with your allies, you would trade with your friends, so that way you get their resources and they get your factory. You don't want to trade with someone that you're going to be at war with, because you're basically giving them a free factory. You would tend to avoid that. And that's represented by your trade influence with each country.
Okay, here's a question. Is there a way to see how many civilian factories you're getting from other countries trading with you?
Yes, and I have already shown that right there. So if you look at the top, it shows I have 21 factories. Of those, I own 21 of them. So those 21 are in my area. If I had any from trade, it would show there. So if I went to, say, France, and France bought my stuff, it would show there that I have X amount of factories that are traded from them. So yeah, you've got your construction speed. That is generally improved through research, and specifically through construction. So we will leave that one there for now. You've got coal. That came in with no compromise, no surrender. And essentially that's how do you power your economy? How do you power your construction and stuff like that? So most countries will tend to have some coal. Others will have more. Really good example of that would be Germany tends to have quite a lot of coal all around kind of here, as well as England and specifically Wales. Wales was well known for coal. I know that because I used to play a lot of Victoria back in the day. They taught me that. So yeah, that's coal. Then you've got broadly consumer goods. You see there, with our current economic policy, the people expect 25% of our 41 civilian and military factories to produce consumer goods. So this need is filled by our 21 civilian factories, leaving us with 11 factories, but 11 can be used. So what that is telling me right now is I have a total number of 41 civilian and military factories. And of those 41, I am required to basically pay 25% because I'm on partial mobilization. That first line there says expected number of factories to put on consumer goods, 25%. So that would be why I've got 25%. The 25% is dependent on your economy lore or economic lore. So 25% of my 41 military factories and civilian factories is 11%. Or sorry, not 11%. That is 11. Or sorry, no, it's not. It's 25% is 21. That then leaves us with 11 left. So it shows you kind of the working out there. So what that means is I can now just start making, let's say, civilian factories to start out with. And I'm personally going to be looking at where I want to place these. Sometimes one option you do have pair. If you're trying to make civilian factories, you just spam around.
Yeah, that's one way to do it.
Slightly more scientific approach might be looking at it and saying, okay, I want to put my factories in somewhere that has a high infrastructure. The reason I would want to do that is that it increases the amount of so high infrastructure. It provides the state with improvement of infrastructure. It increases your supply power in the strategic regions and increases your division speed, as well as increasing your raw resource extraction. So the reason I might put a civilian factory there is simply because that's a higher value tile. I'm probably going to want to have most of my stuff in the center of my country. You know, the actual infrastructure doesn't have a massive impact on the output of that civilian factory. A lot of people would think that it does. It doesn't. Could it be better to put a factory on high infrastructure? I think it might help slightly with construction speed, but I'm not entirely sure about that, if I'm honest. I would personally say what most people tend to do is they look at the number of what percentage is the infrastructure, and they put it on the high infrastructure first. It doesn't really matter too much when it comes to civilian factories or military factories. It's just, it tends to be people see the higher number in the green, so they put it on the green, which nothing wrong with doing that.
It works for me.
Yeah, so gonna put a couple of these down, just anywhere. And you can see with my 11 factories, I can make at max 15 factories on each building for these ones. I'm going to leave that for the time being. We're then going to go over to our military factories. This is where things start to look a little bit more complicated. And Luther is spot on there with tons of coal in the Rhineland. It was actually the reason it was demilitarized and it was occupied. The Ruhr Valley was occupied by the French. So yeah, we're going to do that. So you've got our resources up here. So we can see we've got 67 aluminium or aluminum, got 0 rubber, and we've got deficiency of 4. So depending on what we are losing it out of, you can, depending on what we're missing there, we could trade some for that, or we just leave it for the time being.
But interestingly, even if you don't have a resource, it won't stop your production, right? It just slows
it will just slow it down, and depending on how much of it you are missing, it will. So you can see right there. So right now on the trucks, because we're missing 4, we have a reduction of overall production efficiency of -7%. So it can do, but broadly speaking, it's not a massive one, unless you're missing a lot of it. So as an example, if I was to kind of push that all the way up, you can see that's gone from -7.5% over to -10%. So
yeah, and Wilfer's
it can
making the
scale
point
up.
it can stop production, but you'd have to have a serious deficit.
Yeah.
So for all intents and purposes, you should be okay if you're not in a big hurry.
Yeah, it's one of those where most countries, especially during World War II, most countries were running at deficiencies in their production lines to various extents. You deal with it. So yeah, what I'm going to do, you see here our overall dockyard output. It's limited by, see there with our exports. Where is it? Limited exports. That has +5% construction speed, research speed, factory output, and dockyard output. If I was to make that a closed economy, I lose those bonuses. If I go all the way up to something like free trade, you are putting more resources out into the market, and also people can get intelligence from you. However, you get bonuses towards your overall outputs. So, that's there for your dockyard output, your factory output. You've then got your overall production efficiency cap. This can be increased through technologies, especially when it comes to production. So as an example, basic machine tools increases that production efficiency by 10%. So,
whenever you're ready for some questions, there are some coming in on Twitch. No rush, but just so you know.
Okay. Yeah, we'll get through this real quick. You've got your production efficiency retention. And again, as it says in the tooltip, change in production efficiency loss when changing what our production line produces. So essentially all that means is if I was to reduce the amount of, let's say the amount of guns that this line makes, it would change how efficient that production line is. And the production efficiency is how optimal that line is with the amount of factories that you have on there. And then last one there, factory bomb vulnerability. This one, I feel, has very much kind of fallen by the wayside over the years. A lot of people don't really think about it that much anymore. I certainly don't. But it's effectively a way of saying how spaced are our factories to avoid them being bombed as much. And that is usually changed through specifically concentrated or dispersed industry. So, if you're to use concentrated industry, that's going to remain a static 0%. If you go through dispersed industry, you will have increasing returns on that one. So, factory bomb vulnerability.
That mechanic impacting too much in single player, but multiplayer, I guess it could play.
Yeah, I mean...
Was it one of our last multiplayer games where someone, I don't know if it was for fun.
It was me. I was.
Oh, was it you?
I was playing as the UK and I bombed the hell out of Italy.
Right. Yeah.
So yes, that is more of a thing when it comes to multiplayer, because you tend to find people on multiplayer one, they focus more on certain metas or certain styles, but they also tend to min-max towards certain goals. So you might see someone playing strategic bombing as United States, and that's like their entire thing. So they'll have 500 factories on strategic bombing. Yeah, let's go into some of the questions real quick. Which questions do we have here? Let's go with.
Well, it's 5:31 for me. It's 4:31 for you. We're going over naval invasions this stream.
That is
here.
That is Nick. So we're not gonna answer that because he knows I'm terrible at naval invasions. Thank you.
Combining.
How does equipment get used as you go up in tech? Does it send the most modern guns to infantry first, and then only then? Yes. So what happens is it will, let's say if we were to go onto our infantry equipment and you click on it, it will show you what equipment you have, how much of it is stored, how much of it is in weekly production. Broadly, what will happen is once you finish equipping your units, it will then keep the remaining ones, or the ones that are left over, it'll keep them in the stockpile, and you'll build that stockpile up as a surplus, and then it will then replenish those, usually from the most updated version first, going backwards. So you tend to, if you're having a good game, you'll tend to have a lot of early guns left over in your stockpile. If you are playing and you're losing, you tend to find that you run out of your updated guns, and you go through your stockpile of older guns or obsolete guns. So the game will automatically go through in the stockpile for that. So I'm not sure who is asking that, but yeah, there is an option when you're assigning divisions, whether or not you use reserves, default, which is your regulars, or elite. So essentially what that means is these units here with the 3 red chevrons, they will be reserve units. They will get the worst equipment last, so to speak. Regulars are the ones that don't have any marking. They will get it as and when it's available. And then the elite marking just means they will get the best units or the best equipment before anyone else. So what you would tend to find is people will put that on either their special forces or any of their divisions that they really want to succeed, like any heavy tank divisions. So that's one way that you would do it. So if you have garrison units, you would probably want to put those garrison or any port units, put them with the reserve. Yeah. How does this apply to garrisons? You go to your occupied territories, and then you would select a division type that already has reserve markings. So in this case, let's say we take our Regimento di Cavalleria. Cavalry division. And we just change that to a reserve unit. Go to occupied territories, and that would then be the division type itself will already be a reserve unit, so you can do the same thing.
I'm a bit rusty, but it might be Cavalleria.
Say again?
I'm a bit rusty, but it might be Cavalleria.
Thanks,
Per. It's been a while since I tried.
Yeah.
You're welcome.
Is there a significant benefit to choosing dispersed industry over concentrated? I don't know. And the reason I say that is perhaps one of the most controversial questions we tend to find in the community, because if I say one way or the other, I'm going to have someone in chat telling me I'm wrong. I personally prefer concentrated industry. I know some people who will scream and shout that they prefer dispersed. So, I don't know.
Again, it depends on if you think someone's going to bomb the living crap out of you, right? Which,
yeah,
maybe not so. Also depending on your defenses, obviously. So,
yeah.
We talked about this last week as well. I think basically we landed on if you're very spread out, as in Germany, for example, is very big. You go disperse. If you're you go concentrated. It's just
I would say a big
try
thing
different
is
things. You have plenty of hours to try it out.
Yeah. I would say it ultimately comes down to, do you expect to be bombed? Chances are probably, if you're playing as, if let's say if you're playing like if you're playing continental Europe, you're probably going to get bombed. If you're playing as the United States, you're probably pretty safe. So the main thing a lot of people focus on for this would be, honestly, it wouldn't actually be the bomb vulnerability. It would be either the factory output or production efficiency, retention, and base. That can be really nice, because what that means is, are you going to change your... are you going to be changing your production lines, putting more or less factories on production lines quite often? If you are, disperse might be better for you. I tend to go on dispersed more because I swap up on my production lines quite often. So that would be my preference. Tool tips are super helpful. They are. It can also be quite wordy, and we recognize that. Especially in Paradox games, there's a lot of reading, and sometimes you don't necessarily know what you want to read. So we're just trying to cover as much of it as we can now. Again, you've got your military factories. It says we've got 20 factories, or 20 military factories. We've only got 7 being used right now, so we can change that. And then, obviously, dockyards. And then this little number right here, this is actually quite an important section a lot of people miss out on. That says I have 4 dockyards that are currently being used for dockyard repair, or ship repair. What I would strongly recommend to people is, when you get into a war and you're using your boats, consider increasing that number. Because that means, out of all of the 15 dockyards that I have, X amount are being used to repair ships. And the problem a lot of people end up having is they'll have a lot of ships, and a lot of them will be damaged, but there aren't enough dockyards that are repairing them. So, if you're at war, make sure that you consider, do I have ships that need repaired? To the person in YouTube chat, are you guys developers of the game? Do we count as developers, Pear?
No, I wouldn't say we are.
I wouldn't say so.
Team.
Yeah, and I feel like that's...
We're part of the community.
Yeah, so, and the main difference there being is that we don't work in the technical side of the game, we work more on the marketing side and kind of more of the actual communication side of things. So, Pear is the community manager, senior community manager. I am a community specialist. So, unfortunately, Floki, I'm not a community ambassador. Pear is not a community ambassador. Pear is also not the tech lead. We're getting there. So yeah, basically our job is to take what you guys are saying, what you guys are thinking about the game. We kind of communicate that back to the development team, and vice versa. If they have things they want communicated out with dev diaries, dev corners, that kind of thing.
And depending on the feedback, filter out the swear words first.
On both sides. So, yeah. So, what we'll do, we are going to kind of ignore this bar for now. Just broadly, all it means is you can just hide what you don't want to see. So, in this case, if we want to focus just on army, we're going to click these buttons here, and we're just going to hide navy. That way you don't have to see them. And you can also see, again, some of these other options just to kind of organize your production lines a little bit. So, yeah. So, what I'm going to do, we're going to focus purely on the army first. Navy, we don't need to worry about too much, because Italy has a pretty good navy. They've got about 130 ships, I believe. 154! Even better. Yeah, Regia Marina is really good. Italy has quite a strong navy. So we're going to start out infantry equipment 1. We're going to put 5 of them on there for now. We're going to put 5 on support equipment. I have to move some of this out of the way. I'm going to remove the interwar close air support. This is another funny quirk. I see it sometimes. I don't know why the hell they're making interwar close air support and basic close air support. I don't know. I'm just not going to think about that. Just going to delete that for now. And let's look at our logistics for now. We need artillery. We need... what am I looking for? We need artillery.
Why?
Why do I need artillery? Because I'm using artillery pair. And I can tell that I'm using that. And garrison reinforcement, which means that one of my divisions... probably... Yeah, one of my divisions somewhere is using the artillery. Presumably it would be the infantry division. I would imagine.
What's that on the support side then?
That would be support artillery. That's what's using... Yeah. So what I can do is I can look on here, see what we're using a lot of. Right now it's a lot of infantry equipment. We need that for division reinforcement and garrison reinforcement. The artillery, the fact I only need it from garrison reinforcement tells me most of our units will already have enough artillery. We've only got a limited amount that don't have them. So we want to basically focus on getting all of these red numbers back into the green, because if they're red, it means I've got deficiency of them. That means I'm missing them. So I'm going to try and balance my production, make sure that we're making enough of what we need, because I could put more factories on, say, tanks, but I don't really need them as much. So I'm probably going to do that for the time being. So I'm going to have 5 factories on infantry equipment, 5 factories on support equipment, 5 factories on towed artillery, and then only 2 on light tanks. The reason I'm saying that is because I'm looking at this and thinking, well, I'm not really using that many light tanks at the minute, and I've got a surplus, which means I can afford to not build as many. I really need infantry guns for my infantry who are fighting in an infantry war. I'm going to have a quick drink here.
Yeah, and I just wanted to mention, I see a lot of people asking about Navy, and not just in our chat on Reddit, on the forums. Pick your platform, people ask about Navy. But then I also see the other half of people coming, saying either, I don't understand it, or Navy is so easy, what do you mean? So I'm thinking, if we have some of the second persuasion, perhaps some people want to post some YouTube links, Twitch links, some tutorials that help, or videos, websites that help them figure out how Navy works.
Yeah. So yeah, we've sorted our military. Now we're going to go on to national focuses, and again, Italy is in a unique case because it is focused on, Italy and Ethiopia are the only countries that start out immediately at war. It's also one of the reasons why Italy was the tutorial, or is the tutorial country. It's because they're immediately at war. So it's going to be a little bit different for them. Each country will have a different style of focus tree. But broadly, what I find, you can separate them out into an army branch, a navy branch, an air branch, an industry or production branch, and then a politics branch. What I mean by that is, if you were to look at this, that starts out with army primacy, and it's got Stahlhelm. It's got a helmet as its thing. It's a helmet, so it's infantry. That's army. That's your army tree. You've got your air innovations. That's air. You've got your naval power projection. That's your navy. If you're to look at, say, Germany, it would be very much the same thing. We go on to the far left-hand side. You've got your develop modern maneuver warfare. That's broadly your army branch. It's fleshed out and flavoured a little bit differently, but functionally it's a similar thing. You've then got expanding the Luftwaffe. That's your air. And then you've then got your strengthen the Kriegsmarine, which is your navy. Most countries will have very similar looking focus trees, but the actual context might be different. So, yeah, we've got that. So army primacy, air innovations, naval power projection, and then if we go to the far right side of our tree, we've then got effectively our main tree, our main branch for Italy, which kicks off with solid progress, the Abyssinian fiasco, and the struggle in Ethiopia. We cannot do any of those right now because those are dependent on, effectively, how good or bad we're doing in Ethiopia. So, you can see there the no national prerequisites, but we are required, as a prerequisite, to succeed in both Conquer Northern Ethiopia and Conquer Southern Ethiopia missions issued by Benito Mussolini in January 1936. So, if we win, which I hope we will, because otherwise it's going to be embarrassing, we get solid progress. If we don't win, we then have to go down one of those two options. So, we're going to go down Ethiopian war logistics, because that sounds fantastic and right up our alley right now. You can see it improves infrastructure, naval bases in Eritrea, Somaliland, and Jubaland.
You have been warned. We will be harshly judged if you don't win.
Okay, good to know. So, we've done that.
Also, I had a question here.
Yep.
Are light tanks only used in endgame, which I don't think necessarily.
If anything, I would say broadly, you see more light tanks being used at the start of the game, 1936 onwards, because that's the main form of tank that people have. If you look at your armor, broadly most people tend to focus on light tanks straight away, make them early game, because you can pump out a lot of them. Heavy tanks are expensive, and unless you want to use either A, the 1934, or the interwar tanks, which I sometimes do, most people tend to do light tanks first, then moving on to medium, and then occasionally heavy. I very rarely see people doing light, medium, and heavy tanks. They tend to focus on two. Yeah. I personally like heavy tanks, but you also just recognize you make less heavy tanks than you do light tanks. So, you know. And again, this is just from my own experiences. It doesn't mean it's necessarily correct. So, what we're going to do, we're going to grab all of our guys. So, I'm just going to shift, left-click on that. So, I select all of these guys, right-click there onto the general. So, we can make that. And, again, I'm not going to really take into account the fact I've already got units down there. We're just going to set this up broadly. We're going to split in half. So, we've got 23, 23, 23, 23. Left-click there. So, we've got our two generals and a field marshal. Army group, we're going to put... probably this guy, because he's looking better. The reason I say that, one, he's got offensive doctrine, which is quite nice for orc loss when moving, minus 30%. Desert Fox. He is cautious. I don't really care too much about that. He also has the highest level of attack and also decent defense. So we're going to go with him. We're then going to go over to this guy, and we're just going to click the attack. Again, there are different options for picking your generals. I tend to just go for who has the highest attack. Because broadly what I find, the best defense is a good offense, and the best offense is the one that wins. As you can tell,
Yeah.
Look, I'm Scottish, alright? It's very much Sun Tzu isn't a thing. We just, you fucking pummel them till they're down, So we're just gonna go for that, and we're gonna put Giovanni Messi there, and then are there any rivers in Ethiopia? Any big rivers, I should say. No, there's a couple, but I'm not going to worry too much about that. We're going to put this guy on there because he's got better stats than the other guy. So we'll do that. So
here's a question. Sometimes you end up with divisions that you can't delete. How do you delete them?
Ooh, I can give really good examples of that. Some of them you can't, and there's reasons for that. Tag USS. Wait, what? Oh no, tag SOV. I'm smart. Russia starts out with some. For example, the NKVD. And the reason you cannot delete them, it says right there, units cannot be disbanded. Those are because you need to complete here, addressing internal affairs, and then was it NKVD primacy?
Either way, you really have that ready to go. Could have just gone with focus. But yeah, it's basically down to a focus.
Some of them are focuses. I think actually no. I think it's a center. Sorry, yeah, it's a center. So enable editing of NKVD division basically. So some of them you can edit as under a focus. Yeah, Lavrenti Beria just goes like no. And then other times that there will be divisions you can't delete, and that tends to be ones that are given via decisions or events. And I would say I'm not the best person to ask about that, to be blunt. I don't know. So yeah, what we'll do, grab these guys, put them there. Grab the other guys, put them there. And normally, what I've found, the AI tends to be a wee bit smarter if you use the Field Marshal to do it. If you get the generals to do it, they tend to be a wee bit silly-billy. If you want to be technical about it. However, we're doing a two-front war, so we're just going to do that for now. We're then going to select our Admiral for Taranto, because why not? Put that guy there. No divisions, basic training. That's fine. I don't want to have more divisions training right now, because I'm already at a deficit of infantry equipment. So if I start
that
training...
Admiral, you just did that one really fast. Was that just because you want to hit that later? Or?
Yes, because it's entirely irrelevant right now for what we're doing, but it will come up later. So, yeah. No divisions. I'm not going to train anyone, because right now we have a deficiency of infantry equipment, and that would make it worse. So we're not going to touch that. We'll go to our air wings. And as you can see, we have a couple. We'll grab these guys and move them to Durna for the time being. And when we unpause, they'll start moving. But we'll just move them to Durna for the time being. How many do I have, actually? Yeah, fair amount. Actually, I can just move them over.
Somewhere you can actually see a number, but...
Right there. 328 plus 260. So I've got... Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I do need to plug my mouse in. Run out of battery.
Yeah, that's why I don't bother with wireless mice anymore. It's always the most inopportune time that the battery dies.
So yeah, so we can ignore the no divisions, basic training. Insufficient energy, I don't really care about right there, and the reason for that being the only real effect that has right now is each civilian factory provides a little bit less. 0.3 is really not that much. If I wanted to fix that, I just left-click in it, and it'll open up the trade menu, and then I just click in coal, and then I just buy from somebody I like. In this case, I quite like the Australian accent. I don't know about you, so we're going to trade with them. That's just, you know...
Yeah, but one might argue this early on, you want to get your factories built. That
yeah,
is very
so
important.
we'll
trade... line in the tooltip was literally reduced by 0%.
Yeah, so it's one of those where it's very much a case of 0.34% or 0.34 less, so it really doesn't matter, but we'll do it anyway.
No, I was laughing that Gopher has a point, you're trading with the enemy, but sure.
Yeah.
Well, no one's judging.
It's Australia. Who doesn't love the Australian accent? So then,
People
yeah, we've got...
it.
True. So we've got missing equipment production, fighters and tactical bombers. We're going to deal with it. Fortunately, we're currently at war with Ethiopia. And I'm not that worried about air supremacy. So, you can delete those planes and spawn them instantly at Ethiopia. I'm really glad you bring that up, because that's something you see people do, let's say in like multiplayer and stuff. I personally prefer not to do that, because it's just a bit cringe. Because it's effectively what you're doing is you're deleting the unit and then reforming it somewhere else, and I'm like,
yeah, it
it's
depends
not
how
really.
RP you want.
Yeah, I'd say it's not really intended.
Plus, they're so quick. You could even just send them to Ethiopia.
It's a couple of
and assign
days.
them to your units.
Now,
Yeah.
fortunately, with this game, it is one of those where, you know, there are many ways to play. I'm not saying you're wrong. I'm just saying that personally, it's what I would personally choose not to do it. Yeah. So we've done that. Decisions available. For this, we'll cover this in a bit, because there's a lot to go through, and that will come up in a minute. Insufficient resources. The main one is going to be the steel that we need. And I know that because the primary things that are going to be using steel is going to be our infantry equipment, our support equipment, and our tanks. Sorry, not our tanks. Well, also our tanks. And our cannons. So we need to fix that. And we will trade with Germany. 16 of that. Chromium, we're going to ignore because that's mostly for the boats. And tungsten, we're going to trade with Sweden. Let's do that. And we'll unpause. And then we're slowly going to start moving our guys. What we'll do, nice and simple. Front line there. And a front line.
Here's a question I don't know the answer to.
Go on.
Is there a way to stop your puppets from giving you divisions?
No, and it's really fucking annoying. Is my honest answer to that. No, it has been something that's been brought up in the past. It is a slight frustration for people. So at this moment in time, my recommendation would be just delete the unit. So yeah, the main thing we're going to do, we're just essentially just going to try and push. I'm going to try and get our air up in the sky. That's the wrong side. Hang on. So we're just going to merge all of our air wings for now. Grab these guys, put them on air. Although, granted, I probably don't want to have them on massively, and the main reason for that being is... so the more aircraft I have, the more fuel it's going to go through. So, what I can also tell by just looking at this, they don't have any aircraft, so I don't need to put the air up, the fighters up. So, I just leave them off for now. Don't worry about that. And
no XP for you.
Well, they're not going to gain XP because there's nothing for them to do as fighters.
You get something to do. But, okay, so if you just looked and they have no planes, they're never going to have planes. I don't remember not getting XP back here. And you're probably right, you know the game better than I do.
I can look at their intel, and right now I can see they have 0 airplanes, so...
It's not enough intel, but sure.
Yeah, but I can still see that. So, in the Christmas offensive, in this case, either I increase war escalation by 1, or I be methodical and deliberate about it, and in that case, they get a major offensive, but essentially that then introduces the war escalation. And
just on the planes, I mean, if you do close air support, doesn't matter if they have planes or right?
Yeah, that's why I've got them up. I just don't have the fighters up.
You did have them, okay.
Yeah, okay. So, what I have going on right now, I'm bombing the shit out of them. I just don't have the fighters up because the fighters don't need to be up. So yeah, that's absolutely fine. Going back to this, it then leads into the decisions. You've got the gradual war escalation where, effectively, as the war goes on, depending on how slow it takes us to do this, the higher that this gets, the more bonuses that the League of Nations, or sorry, the more bonuses that Ethiopia gets. So as an example, level 1, they don't get anything because nobody's really caring about it. Level 3, the League of Nations like, oh, hang on. If it gets all the way up to, you know, all the way up to level 10, Ethiopia's in a really good state. So you try to just win the war before you get to that point. So we're not going to escalate the war. We're just going to go methodical and deliberate. We're just going to take our time. And our main focus is just going to be breaking through kind of in the... Yeah, it's broadly just going to be breaking through on the edges, especially using the terrain, so like the desert, just kind of bypass where we can, and also pushing through the mountains. So, one of the big issues, again, that Italy has initially, we've got the deficiency of equipment, and then also secondly is just some of our divisions that are fighting down in the south, they are not particularly good. So, we're basically fighting against irregulars, in which case we should be able to win. Again, we should be able to win that one quite easily, but again, it's mostly a case of you want to try and just push through without overextending your supply lines, because if you look at supply, this is mostly blue, this is massively blue. We've got better supply up in the north, so that's where we're going to have the bulk of our vehicles. You probably want to have the tanks down in the south, but... Yeah.
What's distracted by chat? Did you discuss planning at all?
Not yet. So, planning right now, I don't really have that much planning bonus, and the reason for that being... units at the start position of a plan will start taking up a preparation bonus. Once they start fighting with the plan or move away, the bonus will begin ticking down again. So effectively, the reason why we don't have any reason why we don't have planning bonuses is because you start out at war to begin with. So in order for me to gain planning bonuses, I need to stop my guys from attacking. And I don't want to do that because I'm already at war. You would generally try and get your planning bonuses either if you've already bogged down, or B, if you're prepping a declaration of war, or you're expecting a war. So, in our case, it's not relevant. What is relevant, I think, for us, is going to be probably going on to either Italian highways for our industry, or our army primacy. I think I'm going to do Italian highways, so then we can go down and get the 8 steel in Lazio. So, what supply transport are we using? We are using the basic one for the time being. Actually, it leads on to a good point. We've got 185 trucks. So what we could do is go on here and change our motorization level. So, supply hubs distribute supply to nearby provinces. They are range and efficiencies dependent on the weather, ground conditions, infrastructure, railway level, and motorization. So essentially, if I increase the motorization level to horses, trucks, or many trucks, we'll be able to increase basically the level of range that they have. Also, secondly, if we go on here, at the top, you've got motorization priority. So you can select that and change it so that way they can get more supplies from hubs that are outside of the range. So like as you can see down here, how these guys are in the red. If I go here and swap that up to more trucks, also swap that over, it's going to help improve their capacity to resupply. Yeah. If you're able, can you touch base on manpower? Yeah, so if we just hover over this real quick, so start from the top downwards, you've got manpower, you've got 3 manpower, and that is 750,000. So what that is saying Your free manpower is how many guys can you conscript, or how many people can you conscript that are recruitable population. So if you were to... I'm trying to remember where you can see that. I think it's down at the bottom. Yeah, so monthly growth in states, 1.3 thousand. And of civilians, 56,000. So what that means is in each of my states, let's say we look at Roma, we can hover over this and we can see the number of people that we have in our country. So the number of, the level of population. Of that, we can recruit or conscript X amount of them. That would be under conscription laws. So right now, of our total manpower of 1.05 million, we can recruit or conscript 2.5% of them. So effectively, out of 1.5 million, we have 41 million that are eligible core population, and then 0.05% non-core population. So that's population from outside of our non-core territory. So you can unlock access to more people by increasing your conscription laws. So if you go down to like disarm nation, that goes down to 1%, volunteer only 1.5%, all the way up to scraping the barrel is 25%. And essentially that reflects the more people that you're taking in, and the more people that you're conscripting, the higher the likelihood of them being more important for your construction, your factories, your dockyards, etc. Factory workers. So it will impact other areas of your what's the word? It would impact your overall war effort. You should base your army size based on what that max is. So if it says 1.5 mil, your total manpower cost of your army shouldn't exceed that. What I would say is, I would personally, I usually aim for an army size. If I'm playing like a major country, usually of about probably about 1 million, 1 million to 1.1 mil. That's off my own experience. I can't honestly give you a reason why I would do that, if I'm entirely honest, because that's something I've just not thought about. And I know that might not be too helpful right now, but yeah, that's just the way I would personally do it. Again, it's one of the beauties of Hoi is how complicated it is. I started playing this game before I got the job, or before I started working here about 2 years ago. So for me, a lot of it just comes down to personal preference. So yeah, if we can push up to Harar, that's going to make it a lot easier for us in terms of being able to then use the airbase. Yeah, so we'll send an ultimatum. And then that usually gives us a Sultanate of Ossa. There we are. Then what we're going to do is we're basically just going to focus on trying to cut here and then push across. And yeah, if people have questions, feel free to ask away and I can do my best to answer. Again, what I tend to find is that the best way to play the game is by experimentation and just look around, see what works for you. You know? Okay, Grandad, time to go to the front lines. I mean, unfortunately, that was very much a thing. So yeah, what we'll do is we'll basically just keep these guys pinned here for now. If we can break there, we can push across. Was a game a second, and then we got... yeah, so we're making solid progress right now. We just need to conquer northern Ethiopia and southern Ethiopia. So we're working on that for now. Let's go back here and we'll go for the steel.
Comandi. Non fermatevi! Continuate l'attacco! Avanzate! Avanzate! Non fermatevi!
One of those voice lines, I swear, just said taco.
Avanzate! Forza, forza!
Maybe not. Is the blue shield? No, that is base game. So that is left control, left alt, left click. So left control, left alt, left click. We'll put a ping. Anyone in your faction will see that. If you do left control, left shift, left alt, and then left click, that does an attack symbol. So it's a good way to ping. That is base game.
Continuate ad avanzare. Pronto, signore. Ordini. Comandi.
Yeah, we'll just keep trying to push up there. And if we were to hover over this, we're not currently getting any... okay, here's what we'll do. It's close air, I'm not really doing anything. Do I have any other aircraft? I do, you guys. You're not really up to too much, so we're going to move you over. And put you in that region. The non-hotkey way on the map. Yeah, and I believe... I can't remember. Wafer. I can't remember where it is. But yeah, so the main thing that we're doing right now is we're slowly grinding through, which is good. We've got 99 political power, so let's add a chief of the army if we can. And we probably want to go for Bagdolio, mostly so we can get the non-combat out supply penalties, which is kind of decent right now. Especially for what we're doing. Welcome back. You know you're muted, right? Okay, fair enough.
Yes, I know.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna get Pietro in a second.
Bagdolio.
Yeah, Bagdolio. We're doing well at the minute. Essentially what we're doing is... Oh, it helps if I unpause the game, pair. I may have forgotten to unpause.
As long as you're not tagging.
Yeah, nah, we're fine. But yeah, so when it comes to fighting in Italy, we've got a mixture of quite old divisions, or quite small divisions, I should say. Like these guys right here. They've got irregulars, which the main benefit for irregulars, honestly, is the fact that they're a little bit smaller, and they can be really good for fighting in more arduous terrain, like the mountains. The downside for them against standard line divisions, they might be a little bit weaker. Now, granted, playing in, like, you know, obviously you can see here we're fighting against a lot of irregulars down in the south. They're going to be doing a decent job there, but when it comes to actually taking Addis Ababa, it's going to be a little bit more difficult. So what we want to try and do is essentially just try and push north as much as we can.
And make sure you get all the victory points.
Yeah. So let's do that. Then we'll go on to Bagdolio. It is slightly unfortunate because I think I may have forgotten to fill up that front line. But it's fine because we've got tanks, and our tanks are now going to be fighting in a desert, which is good, so we can just forget I made that mistake. And for this, it might actually not be a bad shout to use irregulars. That might not be a terrible idea. But for now, we'll wait.
Forza, forza! Avanti!
And then, yeah, we're also using shift, left click to essentially link up movement. So they're going from there across. Tactical plan. Yeah, actually, in a way, it allows us to better utilize our tanks. So, yeah, you could definitely make that argument.
Pronto all'azione.
Yeah.
Sì, signore.
So we're doing that. And just broadly, what we want to do, so we want to just try and force a breakthrough somewhere. We have the manpower that we can afford to take more casualties. We are somewhat suffering for infantry equipment, which is, again, kind of to be expected. We can do a little bit about that. By building a nice, lovely railroad up there. And that'll probably help a little bit.
Is that going to be done on time to... Oh?
It will be if I move it up there. Yeah, so impose that. So we're going to break through here, push across. Yeah. Yeah, I did impose. Okay. So who is currently doing... Whereabouts are you? Oh, yeah, so the fighters aren't doing anything right now. Because there's really not much they are able to do. So move them there. You guys are all on Kaz as well, which is good. Just for you guys, I might even... yeah, there's really not much they can do there.
Pronto, signore. Attento.
And yeah, we're basically just going to keep trying to push up and out.
Andiamo.
Basically, what I want to try and do is block them off a little bit at a time.
What's your tank doing down there?
Which
Trying
tank?
to join?
Formazione.
Currently not doing anything. Entirely honest. I do need to update the front line in a wee second. Yeah, so we can now go on to war escalation decreases by 1, which I don't think I need to do that one just yet. Actually, no, I do. Yeah, we do. That's going to take 70 days. Yeah, tank is chilling. I probably could be optimizing this a little bit more, but...
Ordini.
Oh, nice, they're cut off now, yeah.
Okay, so... War's over. I didn't see what happened. Something happened, pair. So yeah, so they've now capitulated.
That triggered it.
More than likely, yes. I just didn't see it. So on the bright side, my job's safe, chat. I don't need to worry about pair firing me for fucking that up. That would have been embarrassing. Oof.
Like I need a reason. Sure, okay.
So, war's over. First thing I'm going to do, those divisions that did really well, the colonial divisions, yeah, we're getting rid of those. I personally really dislike these divisions because we've got this one here, colonial division, then we've got this one. Then we got this one. I do not like some of the divisions that we have. Because they are just... look how messy it is.
Just put them all in a separate army and use them for coastal support or something.
Or, here's another idea, pair. What you do, is you take some of these, and you change their... Oh, actually, bollocks, I forgot now, because you can't delete them.
Exactly, yeah.
Oh... I don't like that.
I mean, they're fine. They can protect your front lines as well. Just an extra layer. If you're invading somewhere.
Pronto, signore.
Yeah, well, here's what we'll do.
Attento. Sì, signore.
And what I'm doing there is I'm left control, left click on them. Or, sorry.
Sì, signore.
Yeah, left control, left click on them just to move them all out. 1,
Pronto, signore.
2, 3.
Attento.
Move them over there. And so that's now effectively Ethiopia done. Now what we could do is start moving our guys back up north. And put them now. Embarrassment avoided. Yeah. You hate that we can't delete all Italian divisions. I would imagine there's probably a reason that they can't be. I don't know why that is, personally.
Wait, all Italian divisions?
Well, no, not all divisions.
Attento.
They mean, like, these divisions.
Yeah, okay.
Pronto.
Not all ones. So, again, actually, some of them can be deleted, so these ones can be.
Pronto.
That one can be.
Pronto all'azione. Ordini.
But I think it's mostly the irregulars. You can't delete irregulars. These irregulars.
If you do find a unit, you can double-click it to select all the similar ones, right?
I already did. Yeah, so it's these ones. And so, something I get it. So it's basically, so these ones are irregulars from Libya, indigenous irregulars, Eritrean irregulars, Cavallo.
Signore.
Oh, those are cavalry irregulars and Somali
Pronto,
irregulars.
signore.
Still, though, in the big scheme of playing
Yeah.
Italy, that really bothered me. Just
No,
put an army on
and
the side,
again,
forget about it.
it also comes down to, you know, it's something we spoke about briefly off stream as well. I tend to not play Italy. I tend to play more either UK or
Was
do I
it
wanna-
Iceland?
I do like my Iceland games. I do like Iceland Navy, I'll be honest.
I feel like we should be practicing Greenland for no reason at all. Anyway,
So I'm gonna select probably infantry divisions for that guy. I have a question for the devs. If you are taking questions, we are taking questions. How would you guys come up with the non-historical paths? That is a very interesting question, and I've seen that they tend to do a lot of research, and I think
Yeah,
this is something that you could talk about as well, Per. Like they have, they do quite a lot of reading a lot of books, a lot of literature, as well as a lot of documentaries and stuff, don't they?
yeah. These people, when you go for lunch with them, ask them any historical question. 3 of them will
Yeah.
know the answer. It's insane how much these people know.
Yeah. So, when it comes to Mayos, what I'm going to do to save myself a little bit of time in the future, I'm just going to pause the game for now, and I'm just going to left-click on one of them, and then I'm then going to hold down left-shift, and the ones I want to do, I'm just going to left-click on it, I'll come up with a 1, that means that's going to be the next one to be completed in the queue. Then I'm going to go on to the next one, and the next one. And the
Honestly,
next one, and the next one.
I like that we have MIOs.
Yeah.
And some of them can be very useful, but once you've done your 10th MIO in one run, I tend to just mouse over, pick the ones that only have green text and shift-click them.
Yeah. Piercing, explain. No massive reason for it. I quite like the idea of my infantry having some hard attack. I don't really know how effective it is, personally. Again, this is me playing this from my own experiences. So to be entirely clear, people are welcome to have differing opinions. I know other people have different preferences. The main one I honestly tend to do, especially for infantry equipment, is more going down this one for the production efficiency. I do actually prefer those ones. So, yeah. Piercing, I feel like the main thing I tend to look at with piercing is more the benefit is against motorized or mechanized. Now, granted, I'm also playing as Italy. I'm not really going to deal with French mechanized infantry. That's not going to be an issue. So you do
No, but
have a
if you're
point.
expecting armored units, then you want some piercing. Yeah.
Yeah. So again, I'm not saying it's the way to go. Hopefully people are just kind of picking up maybe just a couple of things here and there that they're like, oh, didn't know that you could increase motorization level in your army. You know, or, oh, I didn't realize, you know, dockyards you can refit and repair. Stuff like that.
I just want to correct a comment
go.
in chat.
Yep.
This is not the full tutorial. This is getting you started.
Yes.
How many hours would you say? At how many hours can you claim that you finished the tutorial? 400?
Yeah, I mean, let me put it this way. I have on my own account since, and again, to be clear, I work in this game 40 hours a week, so I don't spend a lot of time playing the game in my free time. I enjoy playing it. I very much do. I was playing this game before I started working here. I still only have about 1,300 hours in the game. You know, so like there is very much it is a challenging game with the sheer number of variables involved. You know, but I think the main thing there is recognizing like it can be enjoyable not knowing everything and figuring it out, or you know, maybe this is me showing my age. I'm still of the generation where when I play this game, I tend to have the Wikipedia open on my other monitor. You know, like whenever I want to, you know, play the game. Also, Pear, I'm gonna detract from the game a second. I hope you will understand why.
Huh.
Look at the cat.
Aw.
I feel like we need budget for a cat cam. Athena.
I think for a cat cam, you need a cat that is still for more than 10 minutes.
Wait a minute.
She seems to be doing okay now.
Athena. Do you want to play Hearts of Iron 4, the flagship grand strategy game from Paradox Interactive, the best brand that they have?
Oh, that was a yes.
That was a yes. Clip it. Alright.
I saw a question.
Yep,
when you're building ships, can you set where they deploy? And I'm pretty sure I've done that before, so I didn't have to keep adding them every time I got a new ship.
Yes, there is. So if I go
great for training.
Yeah, so let's say I go to my ships that I've hidden. And if I click here, so let's say my early ships, I just set that to either a specific base, so I can deploy it to a port, I can deploy it to a task force, or I can deploy it to the reserve theatre, or the reserve section of the theatre. So what that means, if I go to my navy, let's say I want the Conte de Cavour class, so some of my battleships, I want to deploy them directly into one of my fleets, which is first naval squadron. I click that, and when this unit is finished, it will automatically deploy there. Can you change where auto puts the line, or puts the ship without changing each ship line manually? No.
No. You have to do that for each.
I would say, granted, that would be a good quality of life option.
It could be, but I mean, now we have all of them building one. Like, for example, if you're doing subs,
but hang on. Let's say I want to build new cruiser. This destroyer's now a cruiser, whatever. It's not. Let's just use it as as an example. I'm gonna click that. That's gonna be on infinite. So what that means is it's gonna infinitely make them. I only click that once. So less useful. I would say it's probably a nuisance at the start of the game, Wolf. Late game, potentially less so when you then make your own.
Is it me or is your
You-
cam still on cat? Or
No, it's not. Is
oh,
it?
my stream. But
Your
no,
stream
no,
must
my
be really
Oh, no, it
delayed.
wasn't live. Yeah, yeah, it's weird.
Yeah.
All right,
I know.
continue.
Okay. Yeah. So no, you are right, but yeah. Anyway, are there any official?
The thing also is, playing the game, you come across some things, especially if you've been playing for a while. Oh, I wish I could automate this. I wish I could automate that.
Yeah.
Sometimes it makes sense, but also at what point are you just making an AFK game, right?
Yeah. Yeah. So, are there any official tutorial videos from Paradox Interactive? Yes. And if you give me 1 second, I will link you to... No, that's not a link. That's the social copy. There we are. Sorry, Pear. You have gone invisible for a minute.
Oh, okay. Eh.
I will fix that back. Why are they learning Navy? We're not learning Navy. We're just going through questions that people have.
No one learns Navy. Crazy.
Okay. Oh, okay. What is the tactics thing in the officer line corps? Okay, that's actually quite an interesting one. So on here, you can choose which tactic your generals will favor. What that means is it's got a 25% extra chance to be selected during combat. So if I was to go over here and good old Spanish Civil War, I'm going to deploy 3 lads.
Pronto all'azione.
We're going to take you
Sì, signore.
and
Sì, signore.
you
Attento.
and you. These 3. We're going to send volunteers. We send 3 of them. And we can send 1 air wing. Yeah, we can send 1 air base. Or sorry, not 1 air base. 1 air wing. They're going to go over and have a grand old time.
And it used to be, if you forgot to check that box for air wings, you had to wait, but now you can just do it right
Yeah.
away again. Oh,
So,
that's such a good small fix.
Yeah. So I will show you tactics in a minute, because it's a lot easier when you're in a battle. You can show it.
Happy Friday.
Happy Friday! Woo! Let's go! I'm drinking my iron brew. Other brands are available.
Stop showing me your iron brew. I'm so jealous.
Look.
How do you
I
still have that?
What do you mean? Why? How do I still have
Oh,
that?
you can buy it there. Yeah, right. Now I'm used to people bringing it over at some point it's finished. Like every once in a while I get someone to bring me a root beer, but it's gone so fast.
You know the worst bit is actually Pear. So for the reference of people in chat, I don't live in Scotland at the minute. And the most devastating thing, they do not sell iron brew at Mackey's. They don't. They say they only sell it in Scotland.
I didn't know that was a thing at McDonald's
Yeah.
there, though. Huh?
What do you mean? Of
That's
course
enough.
it is. It's like the national drink of Scotland.
But do they also have a McHaggis then? That would actually be quite...
Alexa, do they sell haggis at Mackey's? Ah, Christ, she can't understand me.
Can anyone?
So, our divisions arrived
Sì, signore.
in Galicia. But first, actually, before I forget, let's grab one of our... we'll probably just send fighters. Why not? So, yeah,
Formazione.
fighters are on the way. And what we'll do is we'll grab one of these guys. You... Yeah, we'll send you. You're better.
Pronto all'azione.
And then we're going to send our guys...
Avanzate.
That's
In that
interesting. You
order.
don't care about the North Coast?
No, and the reason for that being, look how many divisions we already have up here. Clearing out Oviedo
You
and
do,
Bilbao.
but they're built-in encirclements. It's great XP.
Yeah, but here's the thing. I want us to win the fucking war. And in order to do that, I want to wrap this up as quickly as I can before the Soviets can send more volunteers. Because right now, the Soviets will probably have, on average, I can check this right now, and this will explain...
Always so scared of the Soviets.
The Soviets will tend to have like 6 divisions up here, or in here. Right now, they've got 5 divisions, right? So the Soviets have 5 divisions that are all mountaineers. That's probably going to increase. They're probably going to get more of them there. Now, right now, we'll probably have the German volunteers, if we're lucky. Yeah, they have 2 volunteers. So, right now, it's very much a case of, I want to knock out the Republicans as quickly as I can before the anarchists get involved. And also, as I mentioned, and as I've alluded to you before, I don't care as much about the XP, I care about winning. So for me, my main goal here, I want to take Madrid to limit the to limit the Spanish, and then I'm then going to focus on taking Malaga and the southern coast. If I was to try and focus on, let's say, Bilbao, I'm more than likely in about 6 months' time, I'm going to have to retake that anyway when the anarchists turn up. So if I'm on the other side to the anarchists, there's less of a chance that I'm going to lose my army and my volunteers.
I just like being circled. So like the helmets popping up.
True. But it's one of those where I will trust that the... I'll go with that. I will trust that I'll trust that the Spanish are going to deal with that up there, which they will, and I know that they will. I don't trust that the Italians will take Madrid quickly, especially if the Soviets are here. So what I'm going to do, I want to knock out Soviet volunteers. Isn't it easier fighting where the Spanish have prepared offensives? Yes, because if you hover over here, the bottom left, unplanned offensives, it really sucks. Now, granted, it also, I would argue that it sucks in most places. Yes, I would argue that it sucks fighting in most places in Spain. So, grab these guys, and do we have an air base nearby? Not really, so we'll just put them there, and that'll do.
Just put them on your army, and you know you don't have to micro.
I can't because they're too far away. Well, actually, they're not. I mean, they are, and they are, and they're not. They're just okay. So they're just barely in, actually. There. So we were talking about officer tactics. Let's pull this over to the side. So you've got your preferred tactics screen. Essentially, what this does is it allows you to select a tactic that you have unlocked, usually through your Grand Doctrines, your Sub-Doctrines. You can select one of them, and it will give that tactic an extra 25% chance to be used. So, as an example, if you were doing, if you went heavy down mobile warfare, or you had armored infantry support, you can then do Blitz, which is an attack type that gives you, let's see, in that case, that can give you some more bonuses towards, honestly, I don't know exactly how it works. It gives you certain bonuses towards attacking, slightly less on your defense. You could do that. In return, let's say you want to do mass charge, it might give you more attack, but you're probably going to be weaker in defense. So, if I was to quickly tab out a second, wait for tactics, we look at combat tactics on the wiki, I would strongly recommend people always consider looking at the Wikipedia.
This is the only reason you get 2 screens, so you can have the wiki on the other one.
Yes. Yeah. So yeah, so look at combat tactics. And again, Paradox Wiki is fantastic. It is a community-ran, organized, and maintained website. They're really good for this. So, yeah. It says here, despite what the tooltip showed during battle, the attacker tactic damage and defender tactic damage do not change soft and hard attack of divisions, i.e. the number of attacks. Instead, they directly change the amount of damage that successful hits cause. Effectively, what that means is you can gain more attacker damage or more defense damage using certain tactics. It's like, as an example, interesting, so Japan has Bonsai Charge. Which increases tactics movements. Interesting. So yeah, just broadly speaking, there are different styles of attack and hold. And different doctrines unlock different options. In a very roundabout way. There's also a rock, paper, scissors, yes. And again, I'm going to be very clear, this is not my area of expertise. The way I usually use this is, at least in the past when I did care about this, it was more when I was LARPing. And I was playing, like, Finland, and I would be very specific about, like, oh, I want to pick defensive tactics. You know, is the way that worked for me. So, but yeah, we're gonna do that. And still get 60. I think we'll do. So, what I'm looking at here is our officer core. Going on to here, I have selected logistical focus, which I have unlocked because we are going grand battle plan. And for this one, I like it because it gives us minus 10% supply consumption, navy fuel consumption, air fuel consumption. And it also allows us additional well-planned attack tactic chance if it's preferred. So, it's quite nice. I like supply. Supply is good.
Non fermatevi!
And then, yeah.
Yeah, I just think unless you're playing one of the easier countries, you will.
Yeah.
Supply so important, and it's so easily forgotten.
Yeah. Yeah,
Where you
again,
think you have your supply chain going, and there's one piece of the train track missing.
do volunteers use your supplies and all? Yes. Yes, they will still use yours. No.
When in doubt, go green.
Yes. Yeah, so broadly what we want to try and do here is just use the planes to push across, because we're using 2 tank divisions and infantry. We don't want to cross the river. Oh. Do I want to fuck over the Germans? Yes, I do. That sounds fun. We'll take that.
Does that make them invade you faster? Or?
What do you mean?
At some point, historical becomes ahistorical, right?
Yeah, I'm gonna see if I can if I can maybe bully the Germans out of Austria. Maybe, who knows?
Yeah,
we'll find
I
out.
guess we won't get that.
Don't know. Always impede the Germans. Exactly. Exactly. Like, it's the classic British approach of, it's the classic, continental balance of power. It's either the French or the baddies, or it's the Germans. And in this case, I think it's both of them. So, We're going to do that. So we're about to break through here. What we're then going to do is basically push on and attack straight through. So we queue that, so they move straight from one tile to the next one as soon as they can. And when we move here, we'll then leave our infantry, our first infantry guy. We'll leave him on that tile as well. So that way, we're backfilling. So we're leaving people behind us to make sure they don't encircle us, basically. So, that guy's going to sit there. This guy's going to sit right here. He's not going to move. Because I don't trust these Spanish units to backfill either. Does that make sense? So, we'll do that. Whilst that's going on, we could also look at our government. Main things I've always learned, silent workhorse first and foremost. You gain plus 15% political power. It's always really nice. So we'll go for that. And then the next one will probably end up going for... probably something for our... I think probably something for our military high command next. Okay. Let's do that, and then... the main thing that we're doing now is we're just kind of going down the line of... yeah.
Another question here. Is there a way to tell divisions what supply routes they should use?
No.
I'm assuming they just pick where they get...
I want to say they take it from the nearest hub.
Hmm.
I want to say. And so the other big thing, all supply comes from the capital. So in this case, it would come from here, Valladolid. Actually, no, not Valladolid. Yeah, it would be Valladolid and Burgos. As you can see right there, that's like the capital hub. Sorry, I missed that because I don't have my glasses on now. But basically, it means that all of our supply is going to be coming from that route right there.
And since we're on supply, you have bottlenecks, right? So let's say Burgos actually had 10 supply. The Valladolid only has 1, so it's going to be bottlenecked.
Yes,
so
and
you could
that's
upgrade
where...
that.
Yes, and because right now we're in a Spanish Civil War, we're volunteers, we're not in an actual war, I cannot improve their hub. If I was fighting in an Allies space, I would be able to improve that, but I can't. So, we're currently losing this. It doesn't help that we're on low supply. If we're to look, it's probably the infantry equipment. In fact, I can tell you it's definitely the infantry equipment. What I want to do is do something about our... Vision Colonial. Hit that on. And probably swap out from military governor up to probably local police force. Gap in the front, is there? No, there's not.
Oh, how is your motorization? Yeah, keep forgetting about that. I always forget about that too.
Yeah. Yeah, there's... Someone's saying there's a
gap in the front.
Gap in the front, and I could say that, I mean, there isn't. At least not one that I can see. I might be blind. Not sure. Yeah. So I mentioned this. We're going down radios because that's quite good. Support weapons. We get that later. 1936 light tanks. Alright. So yeah, broadly what I tend to do when it comes to my construction, I tend to build up until 30, 38, and then I'll swap over to... then I would start swapping over to military factories. Both of the divisions attacking a province near...
Maybe
What?
it looks like one because the unit's all the way up
Yeah,
there.
it's not that one. If you're looking at that, it's not that. Near Madrid. I don't see that. They are all occupied. So I'm not too sure, but yeah. So the main thing is, once we push that, we will break. We should be able to capture one of their... There's one. It's all good. Oh, anti-Comintern Pact. Sure. So accept that. Doctrines. Again, we're just going to hold off on getting anything for now. What we could also
But if
do...
you had to choose there, which one would you go for first?
That's a difficult one because it depends entirely on the situation. If I'm playing as... So, if I'm playing as Germany, I would be going down mobile warfare. And the reason for that is much better for aggressive tank motorization. So, mechanized, motorized infantry could be really good for that. And unlocking those, so you can see if I hover over it. Division speed, really nice. Organization loss when moving, really nice. If I was going down UK, I'd probably go Grand Battle Plan, because that's good for... That is good for just general defense, planning. Can also be good for entrenchment, for regimental support companies, which I personally like, even though it's kind of pointless. Mass assault is good if you're playing like the Soviet Union or the British Raj. And superior firepower, it used to be kind of the catch-all one, where you just saw a lot of people taking superior firepower if you're not playing Germany or, like, let's say if you're playing like the US. So, if it was me playing right now, personally, I would probably go defensive postures. Because again, this is my way of playing. Defensive postures. Artillery, I would go down field engineering, because that's good for plus 20% movement on river firsts, so on and so forth. And defense for engineer companies. And I like to use that with armored engineer companies. It could be really nice. Armor, I would go armored support infantry, because it's decent for medium tanks. And operations, probably I would go dispersed operations. And I would do dispersed operations because that one gives enemy air support minus 10%, which is nice.
And these four, the doctrines, which one first? Because I saw were you going for tanks, basically? So would you go that tree first?
Yeah, sorry, what am I looking for? There we are. I would probably end up going infantry or armor first. I think in this case I'd go armor first, because I'm actively using armor right now.
Right.
So, I would probably go for the thing that's going to benefit me in the short term. So yeah, that would probably be what I would go for.
Now, do you get stats for your generals? That's just having them leading your armies, right?
Yeah, so especially, and that's the reason why people use the Spanish Civil War, encirclements are the best way to get it. So let me just grab you, and if I click in this guy, and I click in his leader details, I can see that he will, he'll be gaining experience from all of the battles that he's participating in. So right now he's at 67%. When this battle that he's in right now finishes, that should then go up a little bit more. He can unlock certain traits based on what he's doing. So right now, because he's using, so you can see that experience gained while armored ratio over 40%. Wait, big crocodile. That's over. Is that over or under 40%? It should be over 40%, right?
That's over, yeah.
Yeah, over 40%. So that means that essentially, whilst he's using divisions like these two, that are armored, he's going to gain bonuses towards that. Whereas he's not going to gain any experience towards cavalry, motorized, and mechanized. So, yeah.
Andiamo!
So, whilst that's going on, let's look at our officer corps, because we spoke about that briefly a little bit earlier on. The challenge I tend to find is, what do I want to spend my army XP on? Do I want to spend it on improving my divisions? Do I want to spend it on improving my officer corps? Or do I want to spend it on grand doctrines?
Yes.
When is a unit considered armored? I can answer that. That's a really good question. It's dependent on your hardness. It depends how hard you are. And you can see that based on, not that one, although actually, there used to be a bar here. There used to be a bar here. And I don't think that's... I'm not sure where it is now or what it is now. There used to be a top left. Ah, thank you. Yeah, they moved it. Sorry. Thank you, chat. Yeah, so hardness is 14%. So hardness, and how hard you are, represents... So hardness represents how much of your division is made up of armored or at least protected vehicles. So that's motorized, mechanized, and armored vehicles. So light tanks, heavy tanks, medium tanks, self-propelled guns, SPAA, yada yada yada. So this unit, this disgusting Italian division. No, this pair. This has 4 cavalry battalions, 2 motorized infantry battalions, and a light tank battalion. That is disgusting.
Very eclectic.
That is the politest way of wording that.
Indecisive?
Yeah. So let's say I added another light tank into there. It then puts it up to 22%. If I replace that with a heavy tank, and actually I don't think I even can, because I technically don't have a heavy tank, so it doesn't really know what to make of it.
I do like those icons, though. Yeah.
You know what, and you're going to be very grateful, I do this. I have to admit, I play often with NATO symbols on.
I didn't know that was an option.
Yeah, it's actually really nice. You'd be surprised that there's a lot of the developers play with us.
What's the reason?
What do you mean?
Why the preference?
Because it's easier to tell what it is.
Depending on your background, I guess.
Yeah. But yeah, no, unironically though, it is actually that. It's some of the devs, myself included, it's easier for me to tell what it is, because I grew up playing war games. So, I know what that is. So, yeah. And it's quite nice.
Yeah, I see that. I'm looking for my email.
But yeah, so for a lot of people, the other ironic thing about that is that's also not historically accurate. Because they're NATO symbols, you know?
Yeah.
And NATO wasn't a thing yet.
Yeah,
Anyway.
but there's this ongoing dichotomy also in the community. I want it more realistic, but then some things are not realistic. And it's too realistic.
Yeah.
It's too realistic, some things become too hard. Too detailed.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to mention the name, for obvious reasons, because we are on, you know, obviously we are working right now, but one of my favourite games, and you know which one it is a spreadsheet. It is a literal spreadsheet.
There's no problem mentioning other games. You can tell everyone you play Rule the Waves.
Okay, well, yeah, that's one of my favourite games, and it doesn't have to have decent graphics. For me, I enjoy the concept of the game and the way that it's laid out, you know? So, like, for other people, I've just realised, okay, I've just read Twitch chat.
Where?
Don't worry about it, Pear.
Yeah.
That wasn't intended, legitimately.
No, you were so unaware when you said it that I just let it go.
Fuck. Alright. Yeah, where were we? Let's do... I think let's carry on with security militias, because I think we do still need to worry about our garrisons in Ethiopia and stuff. Oh, but what is the cutoff then? It said it right there, it was 40%, I believe. So,
Avanzate!
think... Yeah, so that one counts, I believe? I think it's based on...
Avanti!
If I click in this... And... Yeah, so experience gained while the armored ratio is...
Yeah, over 40%.
Over 40%. So my guess is maybe it's more just based on... Maybe it's not even based on the division hardness. Maybe it's just based on the unit being tanks. So, therefore, it having minimum 40% tanks. I'm not sure. I'm entirely honest. Let me just figure it out. Sorry, it's a little bit bright. Tell you what, if you give me 1 minute, Pear, I'm just going to close my curtain, because it's getting in the way a little bit. If you want to talk about the weather, I know.
I can't talk about anything else. Also, how are you still getting sun? Oh, I guess it's... It's also okay to mention mods, or most mods here works perfectly fine. I saw a question about not being able to break through in Belgium, was it? I'm just curious what exactly the problem was there. Also, are you playing historical? Because if you're playing historical Germany, by the time you start on Benelux, you should have pretty good units, and breakthrough shouldn't be a problem.
What's this for?
So I'm just curious how you're playing. Someone was saying they have trouble breaking through into Belgium with Germany.
Hmm.
And I think, no offense, but that shouldn't be a problem if you're playing historical, because at that point you've had enough time to get your divisions done pretty well.
I mean, the other thing to consider is what kind of Benelux are we talking about, and when are you going in? Because as it stands, Benelux should have at most about 100,000. Probably between...
No, that's why I started playing historical, because then they should be at least, at the right time. That gives them, what, 3 years?
Tag,
2 years to get their units in order.
What's the Netherlands tag? It's not...
NED?
NED? NDL? No, it'll be Holland. Yeah, HOL. Yeah, thank you.
Holland, really?
Yeah, it is, yeah.
I know some Dutch people are going to be offended by that.
Yeah, so I mean, like, right now, the Dutch have a standing army of 72,000 men. As Germany, you're probably going to be anywhere between 900,000 to probably about 1.1 mil. As usually where you would be when it comes to... Because, I mean, for Poland, you need 975,000. broadly for Danziger War, 950,000, apologies, 950,000 men. Most people will take Poland before they then go on to they're asking how to make breaking into France easier, like template design.
I'm not sure how much detail we want to go into.
I mean, what I would actually, I have an answer for that. I would recommend people check out our past live stream. Actually, Per, if you do me a favor, go back onto, if you can tab out for me, and go on to Twitter, or just any of our socials. The post I did on Wednesday includes a link to the VOD. If you just go onto our Twitter.
What day was that?
Wednesday. Wednesday morning. Because we slammed the Netherlands as Germany. And that was using entirely default units. And again, to be very clear, I'm not saying that I am a good player by any means, but I'm just using that as an example of where I think sometimes it just comes down to figuring out what stage you're at, or what step by step you need to be doing, i.e. should I be focusing on, you know, do I need to have an army on the Maginot Line? Yes. Do you need to have army, an army group on area defense for the coast? And for the ports, specifically the ports? Yes. You know? And kind of figuring out how you want to layer things. Yeah. So, that would be my suggestion, would just be... I imagine you're probably doing things right. It's probably just a timing thing. Or knowing in which order to do things. Oh,
Yeah, that's why I'm really curious when they're actually trying to do this.
No! I forgot I made a slight mistake. I let the AI take over.
Again? Really?
Yeah, I didn't mean to.
First pause, then tag. Didn't we have this last?
Don't worry about it.
Hey, I'm just glad it's you playing. You're the better player.
It's fine. See,
hang on, Fraser, can you check the YouTube chat for a sec? Am I crazy, or are we now getting requests for mods to make changes?
Yeah. Why does Italy not have a Mayo on heavy tanks? Why does it not have one in game? I don't know, because I didn't work on Italy for By Blood alone. I'm pretty sure I was still working at Tesco back then. And I wasn't actually. I was working at Ubisoft. It's slightly less depressing. And then secondly, why have I not done it? Because I'm not paying attention. If I'm entirely honest. If there's anything consistent, it's Fraser imposing. Yeah, because, like, you know, I think what's important is we're having fun together, chat.
No.
But no, I do actually want to take this as an opportunity to ask, are there folks in chat that are benefiting from this? I know this is a little bit janky and it's a little bit all over the place, but legitimately, we hope this is something that's been beneficial to people. So, if it is, just let us know. And hopefully that will give Per and I an excuse to continue doing more of these kinds of things.
I just saw the question, what's my favorite strategy game? Obviously, Hoi. But I...
How much you get paid an hour, Per, for that answer?
Not enough. Actually enjoy the game. I did see some, was it Twitter posts about a new game next week?
Oh, really, Per? Is there anywhere I can check out that new strategy game that you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I mean, some kind of teaser is on, I think, on all our Twitter
Oh,
accounts.
really? Really?
Possibly, yeah.
Huh.
Obviously, ours is best.
Well, yeah, but I guess
And
it's one of those where if they want to look at, how other strategy games are, maybe they should go have a look at our social media.
I think that's not
Potentially.
a bad idea.
Yeah. You think you are because you are making a mod for Hoi 4. If you're not already, I would strongly recommend checking out the Hearts of Iron Discord, because there is a number of channels there dedicated to modding help. So people who do moderate, who do moderating, people who do mods for Hearts of Iron, who like to share suggestions or help. I see Marine in there quite often, as an example. He's one of the moderators.
Yeah, I gotta
So,
have that pause button as a muscle memory reflex. I think when I
yeah.
play, my left hand is always on the spacebar.
Yeah. To be fair, it's not necessarily a wrong thing to do. It's one of those where, like, right now, I'm kind of winging it, for the most part. Yeah.
Okay, now tell you what, let's take a 5-minute break. Totally not because I would like to take a break again.
Yeah.
Let people all go check out our Twitter
Yep.
and check out the video that
Yep.
was posted this morning, or our morning. We're in Europe.
Yep.
Then first of all, I would love to get people's opinion and guess. And also, does it not really look a lot like Red Alert? Because that was the first thing I thought, and I still really miss that game.
Yeah, well, let's take a quick break. So if you guys want to go check it out, if you don't use Twitter, I believe it was also posted on other socials, so Facebook.
There's that, and I don't know if I'm supposed to say this, but I discovered there are some websites that let you view Twitter without having Twitter. That was quite interesting.
Yeah, you can say that.
And otherwise, ask someone else and they can describe it to you.
Yeah.
Old school.
Yeah, let's take a couple of minutes as a break, and we'll continue on with this game in, let's say, 4 or 5 minutes, chat. Okay?
Yes, I mean X, but I still have trouble saying X because
It's fine.
X could mean anything.
Yeah.
People know what I mean when I say. Does anyone not know what I mean when I say Twitter? Anyway, I'll leave that with you.
It's one of
Back
those.
in 5 minutes.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, and we are back, and we are still in the middle of winning the Spanish Civil War. Yeah, we're currently doing quite well.
Comandi.
So yeah, something we were talking about just on the break, because we were gossiping. We have another live stream tomorrow. You will be watching myself and Gareth, one of our developers, also known colloquially as Mordred Viking, social media. We're going to be playing as Germany. We're doing a multiplayer game. We've got a bunch of people joining us, so that'll be quite fun. I believe we've got, trying to think who we have. We've got Siam, Japan, Finland, Germany, probably other countries as well participating tomorrow. That'll be from about 12 CEST onwards for about 6 hours. So that'll be quite fun. Yeah, looking forward to that one. Okay, let that happen.
Forza, forza!
And yeah, we're currently
Yeah, what are we doing exactly?
waiting for this attack to finish because we can't move until they're finished attacking us.
Yeah, that's going nowhere fast, but we can let them play out.
Yeah, so
How's it
we
going
very
up
much
here?
can't. Yeah, we very much can't do anything until they finish attacking us. So that'll unfortunately take a little while. Historical in that multiplayer run? Yes. Well, about as historical as we're realistically gonna get, and also understanding that I'm not going to be able to control our game director and how he plays. So if Finland wants to go off the deep end and go full, you know, Mannerheim, Sisu. Have you seen that movie about like the Finnish man and he basically turns into John Wick? Basically that. So I can't control what our game director does, even when he's playing Little Angry Chihuahua Finland. So we'll see how that goes. The same goes for the rest of Europe. It'll be fun. I'm excited about it.
Forza, forza!
Worried about it, but it'll be fun. I actually have a quote that I would like to give for the stream tomorrow. So I'm just gonna do this a second pair. Sorry, we're gonna lose your camera whilst I do this.
Did you want to pause while you're doing that, or?
Nah, just let the game play.
All right.
So, the quote is, someone asked, do we want to plan anything ahead of time, or are we RPing the highly dysfunctional relationship of the Axis? We're doing the highly dysfunctional relationship.
Whatever do they mean?
Well, you see, we're going to go for German interests. I don't really care what the Finnish want, in the context of this multiplayer game. And I honestly don't have a clue what the Japanese are planning on doing, other than just the Pacific. So, yeah. It'll be fun. Be a good game.
Sorry, did you mention what Mordred is playing?
Yeah, so Mordred and I are going to be co-oping as Germany, so we're going to have 2 players in Germany, and we have very specifically stated that we are not going to plan anything until tomorrow. So I'm going to be following my plan for Germany, and Gareth is going to try and follow his idea for Germany.
And yes, things might finish weird.
So, yeah, I'm looking forward to it. It should be fun. Our goal is fundamentally, we want to have a good time. As for how we're going to have a fun time, I don't know. I'm probably going to be controlling most of the army and the ground forces. He really wants to be in charge of the navy. So
Crazy
I
good.
could absolutely ruin him by taking all of the factories, so he doesn't have any. I just have him. He has to ask me really nicely for me to give him factories for more dockyards. So yeah, it will be fun. I'm looking forward to it.
I have a feeling you're gonna be losing access to all the internal builds soon.
We are very much. So I know some of them have been doing practice games. They've been doing like practice games for how they want to play. Gareth and I both agreed we're not discussing it until we get to it. He's also going to be streaming it on his channel. I'm going to be streaming it on these channels. So the ones that you're currently watching this live stream on. So if you're interested, definitely pop in for that. And it should be on for like 6 hours, maybe, give or take. So I do need to remember to get some snacks beforehand.
That's always good.
Yeah. Yeah. It's nice because it's the kind of thing of, like, we were doing these multiplayer games on our personal channels already. Being able to actually stream it as well. Will you be arguing over the focus tree decisions? Yes. 100% yes. Have we pre-agreed the focus tree? No, not in the slightest. Not, not in the slightest. And him and I, we have very different ideas of how to play. Yeah,
Well,
him
at
and
least you won't be getting naval invaded anytime soon.
Well, actually, it's funny you say that because we still haven't decided who's in charge of the amphibious landings, whether that counts as part of the Navy or the Army. So, yeah, it's going to be a fun one because I think his priority is going to be, he's probably going to want to take, like, the North Sea and stuff, and I want to be focusing on the Mediterranean and North Africa. So, yeah, it should be a good one. So what time does that start in relation to now?
Did you say 12 tomorrow, Stockholm time?
Yeah. 12 Stockholm. That'd be about
So
12 out? No.
12 plus 4.
Yeah.
16 hours from now, give or take.
Yeah.
So 12 Stockholm time, 11 UK. No, that's
Yeah.
one. Yeah. Time zones still get me every time.
Yeah. That one's not ideal for me because I don't have medium tanks right now. We'll go for mobile defense. Assault battalions. If we think about this, foreign affairs. Nah. What are you giggling about?
What do you want to focus on?
Is that a joke?
It wasn't even. No.
Avanzate!
I hate it
Just
here.
I thought at some point you did decide where you wanted to end up.
No, I'm still winging it. Yeah. So yeah, no, I think it should be a fun time. I'm quite looking forward to it. Let's make some improved light tanks. I know some people are quite interested how other people build tanks. For me, I'm gonna go with probably quite little beefy little tanks. So we're gonna go with beefy tanks, beefy light tanks. We're gonna do a 3-man turret. The main difference with the turrets being the increased breakthrough for production cost. So 1-man turret is 7 breakthrough for 1 production cost. A 3-man turret is 14 breakthrough for only 1.5 cost. So we're gonna go with that. Then we're gonna go with probably the small cannon because it tends to be the most balanced out of those. And it also has decent piercing, which isn't a massive thing, but it can be quite good. We're going to go with riveted armor, so it costs less, so we can make more, because we don't have welded armor. And then for the gas... for the engine type, we'll use gasoline engine. Why not? And, yeah,
the chassis, which one's that?
Chassis is the suspension.
Suspension, right, yeah.
Yeah. So you get options of wheeled suspension that basically turns it into an armored car.
Yeah,
for all intents and purposes, which sucks for hardness, but it reduces the cost a lot. Track suspension, most people tend to do bogie suspension because it doesn't change anything. It's like the most basic one you can do. Christie suspension increases the speed. Torsion bar increases reliability, and interleaved roll wheels are really good for breakthrough tanks, so you tend to see those on heavy tanks. We've already got decent reliability, so we don't need the reliability. We could probably do Christie suspension, and it will increase our speed up to 8 kilometers an hour. Might as well do that. And then, if you remember, we did the radio. You can see radio gives us plus 20% breakthrough. Oh, sorry, plus 20% defense and plus 15% breakthrough. So that can be really nice for that. And then, in this case, I don't massively need anything else. What I would do in this case would probably be the extra ammunition storage for the 4 defense, 2 breakthrough, and as long as I keep it around about 80 to 90 reliability, that could be quite good. You know, if your reliability is down to like, you know, 6, 7, like 60, 70%, that's fine. That's when you want to start looking at doing stuff to improve your reliability, but 90% is fine. I did. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine.
This is fine.
This is fine. This is fine. That's something I think a lot of people also forget they can do. You can press that button to change it from 1-to-1 to 5 times view to 10 times view. That's really that is really helpful for when you get to the stage when you have like 50 factories on one production line. So don't forget about that. So currently the attack is going nowhere, which is fine. Let's have a look. At this point, we should probably be able to send more volunteers. No, we can't. Never mind. Do that back. Basically, we need to take Malaga. Why did they play so long? You've been here for 1 hour, and they aren't even on 1938. Well, you see, if you take your keyboard... You press the space bar, it'll pause the game. So I'll just show you right here. It'll pause the game. And that's really helpful for when we want to sit down and explain some of the concepts for the game, especially for newer players who might not have as much of an understanding of how they play. Yeah, and as well also we are on 3-speed. I can put it up to 4-speed, actually. It's not the end of the world. That's a fancy keyboard. Thank you. I quite like this keyboard.
Again, maybe mention that tomorrow there will be a multiplayer stream, so that will go a lot faster.
Yeah, so right now this is a tutorial. So we are just covering some of the basics, some of the more mundane elements that I think sometimes people miss, especially when they're focusing on the big macro management of the game or the micro management. So we're doing that, and then tomorrow we are doing a multiplayer game. That's going to be an actual, just a standard multiplayer game of about 8 or 9 of us, I think. I can't remember how many people we have. That one is going to be playing it more serious, because obviously we're playing it ourselves. I did forget. I haven't been doing this as well actually either. I do need to
No.
do that.
You see, you can play this so many times and still not realize there was something going on over there.
Again, it's one of the big things that a lot of countries will have their own individual decisions or event setup structure. So yeah. So strengthen the military.
Oh, there you go, to the question about being able to delete those units.
Delete regulars, yeah, actually, that's quite interesting. So I could probably just remove those if I wanted. I'll probably just keep them at this point, because why not? But yeah,
what would the benefit be? Just to not lose your equipment and your manpower?
No, because manpower and equipment will not be refunded. So the main reason...
Right. Tips for the win.
Yeah, so the main reason you would do that is to just get rid of them if you don't want to have irregulars. Yeah. So, the main way that we would do this, we need to strengthen the army. We need 750,000. We could technically do that. All we need to do is stop losing our infantry equipment in places like Spain. Would be a pretty strong start. Main thing we probably want to do at this point would just be stop them there, look for our air. I could have sworn we did say... Oh, you know what's happened, Pear? You remember how we had the AI take over for a few minutes, right?
Oh, God, yeah.
They took all my aircraft.
What are they doing? Why did they...
I don't know. I didn't even notice that. You could buy weapons? I could. I could also just check here. So, I'm actually making more of them. Because we're making... You can see this. We're making 57 per day. Or that's our balance, or our daily equipment balance. So we're making 79 per day, and we're using probably about 20 per day. So that means we're plus X amount. So we are slowly improving that right there. I don't know why the AI decided to take our air. I don't know. But yeah, you can see the Soviets have sent, and I can tell those are Soviet because they're I-16s, which is their basic aircraft. That's kind of annoying. Got more irregulars. And, again, I don't really know what they're doing against the British, so I'm just not going to think about that. Go back to our research. And, honestly, at this point, if we're pushing mountaineers, it's not the worst thing. Yeah, do we have more questions? Do we have any more questions about things that we're doing? Or maybe... If there are situations that you're not quite sure how to deal with, that's probably a good time to ask.
Yeah, I do think we got to a lot of questions so far.
Yeah, I was going to say, otherwise we could probably start looking at wrap it up in the next 20 minutes. You think you'll add resources to Africa? I can actually somewhat answer that question, Pear. I remember there being a discussion when it came to Latin America and South America. Obviously, it was last touched with Trials of Allegiance. Since then, we've then had a new resource come in with regards to coal, with No Compromise, No Surrender. That was, I believe, implemented in some areas for kind of Brazil, Argentina, South America. I think as well it was also somewhat added in where relevant for North Africa. But other than that, I don't believe we would go out of our way to specifically rework the resource composition of an area unless it was under an actual rework or a DLC. That's not a. It's not.
That being said, you know, there's the occasional patch.
Yeah.
But sometimes randomly
Pronto,
developers
signore.
get a day to do things they look at, and something
Yeah.
could randomly be added to it.
Continuate l'attacco.
But, nothing concrete on the books
Yeah.
as far as I know.
Sì, signore.
Hmm.
Is there a way for UK to quickly integrate its puppets?
Um.
And I'm giving that to you, Fraser, because I don't know. Doesn't
Sorry,
seem very straightforward. honestly.
It's not. Well, I mean, it is and it isn't. G, type G. Yeah, Imperial Federation, but it's not quick. That is not quick. You're looking like mid 42, I believe, for that. It's through the Imperial conference. So you would go down Commonwealth ties. You need to develop the Raj, develop Australia, New Zealand, Canada, South Africa. Do Indian autonomy, I believe. Yeah, Indian autonomy. And then whilst you're doing that, not only do you need to have all of them like you, so you need to spend political power to get them to like you, 100% opinion, you then also need probably about 400 to 600 political power when you're doing the actual Imperial Conference itself, because it uses a lot of political power. Uh, 54, 5 decisions. I think it's 50 each, right? Yeah, it's 50 for each. Because you want to max it out each time. At the same time as also improving relations with all of them. So it's... that's probably the main way most people would do it. That's the way I've done it in the past. 50 for the top decision, 33 for the second, 0 for the worst. And if you want all of them, you need to do it all. Otherwise, if one country declines it, it will fail. So, like, is this a new DLC or not? Not. This is just us sitting down, playing the game, and showing some ideas of how we play. Again, just some beginner basic stuff. Might be useful for some people, might not be for others. So.
Yeah, that brings me to the next question in chat. Did we discuss occupation laws? I think we it came up a little bit in the previous stream, and we did look
very
at it
briefly
here,
so,
but not in detail.
So the main thing you look at when it comes to your garrison template, you've got hardness, suppression, manpower, production cost. So those are the four main things to consider. Of those, the main ones are suppression, how much of an effect they have. So higher suppression means they're more likely to reduce the level of resistance. So, as an example, a lot of people tend to use cavalry because cavalry is quite good at providing suppression, but also limiting the amount of manpower because it costs a lot of manpower in total for the entire thing. So there's that, and then you've also got the production costs because obviously they require things. Generally, what you would find people do is they will make they'll take like their cavalry division, so something like this, and they won't add support unless it's military. On. Click. So if we do this, and then ultimately 4, let's say if we go to that one and that one requires military engineering vehicles, but we'll just skip that. What you would look at doing is XP 100. So yeah, let's say we take our cavalry division, right, these guys, and then if I wanted to increase the suppression on these guys, I would then add in military police through the research. And you can see, if you look at suppression here, 8.0 goes up to 10, and it doesn't really add that much cost. The upgraded version of that is then using motorized military police. It's basically using military motorcycles. It's quite neat. And you can see that that then pushes suppression up even further. If you can afford it, armored cars, and you've also seen light tanks being used as well. Yeah, light tanks can be quite good, especially later on, because you tend to have a surplus of light tanks later after you move on to medium tanks and stuff. Armored cars can be really good for the suppression. I personally tend to just use cavalry because I'm cheap. So yeah, my recommendation for it is if you are struggling with your garrisons, make a dedicated garrison division. So like this, add in military police, and I don't believe there are any... No, there's not. Yeah. I'd say something like that gives 10.8 suppression. So add that on there, save. And then if we go to our occupied territories, that continuum is where do you want to be cheap? Manpower or production? Yeah. So let's say we do that. And that division is both going to be cheaper than my standard line division in terms of production cost, but it's going to have slightly less suppression overall. I think per manpower per suppression is going to be lower, but it's going to have higher. So manpower per suppression 416 versus that one, which is 733. So this one is more efficient because it's using less manpower, but it's got higher suppression, and it's also going to be cheaper production cost versus that one. So put that on, and then if we click on our default lore, trying to remember this. So you've got resistance target. So that's like overall your resistance, the overall level of resistance target on there, and then compliance gain. And then the one on the right is the amount of garrison it requires. So let's say if you're to go on civilian oversight, what that's going to mean is it's going to use 25% fewer infantry for the garrison, or fewer manpower for the garrison, or have less garrison requirements, but in return it's not going to gain any compliance gain or resistance gain. So if you are in a position where you have a lot of resistance, let's say like Ethiopia, that one's not going to be as good because it's not really going to do anything against the resistance target. And we can see right there that let's say if we look at average resistance, it's 39.6%. That's probably going to increase unless I do something to counter it. So the ways I could counter it would be by putting on a lore. So let's say, for example, local police force. The other option I would have would be with espionage. And we take one of these people and we root out resistance and we put them there.
Yeah, for example, I found if I'm playing someone like Italy and I know I'm going to have these issues here, I will focus a bit more on getting those spies up and running so I can utilize them in it.
Yeah. So as an example, I can do that, and then if I look on resistance map mode, over time that will hopefully start slowly ticking down in some areas. But you can see that's going to be increasing because we're doing... where is it? This one we're doing civilian oversight. So what we want to do is colonial police. Actually, that's a good one for Italy because you unlock that one. You can do that, and that gives us minus 30% with fewer.
Yeah. So again,
manpower.
it shows how nuanced this can be depending on your situation. Because I found local police force,
Yeah.
as a rule of thumb, works quite well. But
Yeah.
then you're in a situation like this, and you're just going to have to go down until you find something that works better, and
So-
just change it again later.
What's also quite interesting, and I'm just noticing this now, again, a good example. I've only just noticed this now, but if I was to click on my default lore across all territories, it will not show me colonial police, because colonial police is only available in certain areas like Ethiopia and Eritrea. So I need to just remember that those two are there. So for colonial police there, and Somali Sultanate, those ones, I can put that on. Greece, I can't really do too much about. So, I'll leave it there. But yeah,
I just wanted to drop a kind of a name as well, since we've been talking divisions so much.
Yeah.
There is that website.
Hoi
We
Designer?
posted about them before, the Hoi Designer.
Yeah.
Which, basically you don't have to be in game. It lets you simulate your divisions, plan your research. It's quite an interesting tool. We've linked them before, so it's something to look at if you want to play.
Yeah. Hang on. You are, and... Yeah.
Well, that's no. Oh, we
Wait.
captured the French.
Yeah, we captured. It's always the
Every time I
French.
see that pop up, my first instinct is, "Oh, damn, they got our spy," and then I see the country. Yeah.
So yeah, what we can now see is by changing three main things, we put a spy who's rooting out resistance, put them in Ethiopia, and that's reducing that. We changed the garrison template to something that has slightly more suppression. And then thirdly, we've changed the law that's being used there, which in this case is colonial police. That's been done there, and you can see that is having an effect. And Spain has finished, pretty much. Just got that right there, and our boys are coming home, so that is finished. So, yeah. Good news, there's now 0 resistance in that part of Ethiopia.
Formazione.
So, we're doing good. We can gain a liberate war goal against Germany. Sure.
Oh. Yeah, that's not looking good.
Yeah, nah, we're not. That would probably not end well for us. So, I think we can probably start wrapping up here, pair.
I think that's a good point.
So, if anyone has any final questions, now is the time to be bringing them up.
There was one I think you might find interesting. Best advice to someone invading Canada as Germany via Iceland
Ooh.
before America joins the war. Now, granted, that is
Oh boy.
a
Okay.
window, but
I would be assuming at this point you have you capitulated the UK? Are they out of the war entirely? I'm assuming they've been capitulated, but you haven't concluded. No.
No.
Okay.
okay.
Okay. Ooh.
I would want to do that first, if anything.
Yeah,
for the
because
Navy.
there's a little known aspect of the UK known as the Royal Navy.
Yeah, they're gonna kick your ass.
Because you can't get naval
that's
supremacy and
burying the
air to
lead.
naval invade. Yeah. Couple of tips for naval supremacy in general. Let me say this. And I imagine there's probably going to be some veterans in chat who will agree with me. If you can't naval invade the UK, you're probably not going to be able to naval invade Canada from Iceland. As much because it's the difference of one gaining supremacy over 1 to 2 sea regions versus 2, potentially 3 for
So
Canada.
last time I played Germany, I never end up finishing my games. But
Oh,
no,
you meant Greenland. Wait, you mean from Greenland to...
But-
Wait, in which way? Do you mean from Iceland to Greenland, or from Greenland to Canada? Or do you mean Greenland to Iceland?
Gerald, I still think you're going to need UK, though. I was just going to say, last time I played Germany, I just put a ton of planes to get dominance in the channel.
Okay, from Greenland to Canada. That's actually not that... That's not as bad. That's actually not as bad. Because the main thing with... The main thing I would be saying is naval bombers. I would actually, unironically, I'd be saying that because the problem that the UK has is that Canada doesn't really have that many big naval ports over there, as compared
But what
to...
about getting your supplies there?
Yeah, you can wing it. That's so unironically, the issue isn't necessarily getting the supply; it's getting the naval dominance.
Same difference. But
no,
okay.
it's not because it's not
No?
because you can survive getting convoy raided. It's just getting the actual dominance to move the units. Does that make sense? The supplies are not the issue. You'd think it would
You mean
be.
the dominance here?
Yeah. So yeah, because if you're already in Denmark, your supplies are gonna get there. Don't ask me how. It just
Oh, okay.
they do. What I would be saying here would be maritime patrol ships or maritime patrol aircraft can be good, but it's an investment. I'd honestly be saying look at getting naval bombers and just put them over there and just bomb the crap out of anything that moves to the extent where the UK would hopefully stop moving there. Yeah. I would say it's actually because it's quite unlikely that the UK would have any major capital ships up there. So if we go tag ENG,
I haven't played that region like that. Do the UK have units in Canada?
yeah. So the UK has this part of Canada right here.
Yeah, but how
So they
many are these
directly.
on it?
Oh yeah, barely any. They'll garrison it.
Right. Yeah.
Again, this is God. I hate the way that I hate the way that the AI manages everything in Hoi. Like it just looks horrible. Like this is what they do, pair.
Orders!
That's why you pause before you tug over.
I know. But anyway, what I was gonna say was usually what they're going to be doing, the bulk of their navy is going to be focused around kind of like the western approaches, North Sea, the Mediterranean, less so than up there. Yeah.
What about holding Canada once you have it?
But that's less of an issue, because think about it this way. Once you have Canada, they then need to counter-naval invade you. Right? Which means they need to invade from all the way over here. That's less of an issue, so what you do is you just make sure you control the ports, because there's fuck all supply up there. I've never been to Canada. Quite frankly, I don't think I want to. Because there's just nothing up here.
And the USA is going to leave you alone?
Yeah, because if again, especially if it's early war, the US is Neutrality Act, and just broadly speaking, their entire shtick historically is they have the Neutrality Act. They
okay, but they didn't say when they're invading.
I would assume it's still relatively early.
Yeah, I guess so. I just figured at some point when US wakes up, and
yeah, because they said
not covering.
Yeah, they said before America joins the war. My guess is it's probably before 92. Sorry, not 92. 42.
Wrong game.
Yeah. Most Canadians live near the border with the US. Yeah, so it's like down here. There's better supply. There's better stuff. You know, up here, there's nothing. Have you ever watched Ice Road Truckers?
Yeah, I love that show.
Yeah. Exactly. Imagine driving a Panzerkampfwagen 3 on some of those roads. Like, you know, you don't need to worry about it. Doesn't US still have the Monroe Doctrine, so could still intervene if you invade Canada? In our game, yes. In theirs, maybe not. But I don't believe the Monroe Doctrine affects Canada. I believe it only affects South America. No, actually, it looks like I'm wrong. Looks like I'm wrong. Never mind. Although the parameters of this doctrine have evolved over time, the crux of it means that our neighbours in North and South America will expect us to aid them in times of conflict. I'll stand corrected there. For anyone who doesn't know, the Monroe Doctrine, that was essentially the American train of thought slash their main diplomatic doctrines that they would strongly defend North and South American, predominantly South American interests against colonialism and imperialism, especially from European countries, European people. And that was especially after the US, the Spanish War in the Philippines, I believe. Or actually, no, it might not have been the Philippines. It might have been Cuba. I think it was Cuba because that was the later one. Because Philippines was in the 1800s, and I think that was mid 1800s, was it? And then Cuba was late 1800s, early 1900s. I don't know. I don't know American. It was Cuba with Teddy Roosevelt and the Rough Riders. Yes.
Huh.
Do you know that
Romania
story?
mentioned, by the way.
Huh? What about
Romania mentioned. Just someone mentioned.
yeah.
I'm curious if everyone knows we actually announced that this week.
Wait, do you want to talk about that real quick?
I think I'll leave that to the developers themselves.
Yeah,
I think they
fair
might
enough.
be giving more information. I mean, they gave some information this week, something next week.
Oh,
Yes,
Speak to the
Norman, something about
developers.
Romania.
uh,
Developers
Yeah.
mentioned.
yeah.
Yeah, I think they promise us a pretty beefy Death Corner for next week, isn't that right, Norman?
Mm-hmm. You know of Teddy Roosevelt
what
from Night
silence
in the
looks.
Museum? Did you ever watch
Yeah.
Night in the Museum?
Yeah,
I love that
Robin
concept.
Williams rip.
Yeah. Excuse me. Takes time for the US to try and kick you out, though. I did not know that. Again, you learn something new every time.
That depends on how well you defend the border, speaking
Hmm.
for a friend.
Yeah. You always consolidate the Navy into two fleets, Home Fleet and the Mediterranean Fleet. I actually, you know what, I can answer that. I can show you how I would structure my Navy. Oh. Not that. You didn't see that, Bear.
I was actually looking at the other chat. I'm
Fantastic.
guessing everyone saw it, though.
No, they didn't.
Oh, no, just there, yeah.
Yeah, they didn't, don't worry. Where's my fleet? Oh, there it is. There we are. And yeah.
You just have that there permanently, don't you?
No, hang on, sorry. See what? Let me show you. There. That is how I organize my navy. That's how I organize my navy right there. For the UK. I know it's just because I have it saved as a notepad.
Yeah,
So
I'm still disappointed it's not a sheet. It's very disturbing. Is that even tabs or spaces?
No, those are tabs. They're tabs.
Oh. All right.
Yeah, that's how I have my UK starting navy laid out. You know what the benefit is? If we do more of these live streams, right? it just gives me more justification to play Hearts of Iron during working hours, pair.
Yeah.
If you think about it, you know, because we gotta showcase the game, right? You know, so you need me to be able to play the game. The carrier force doesn't have the capital ships to screen the carriers, though. True. However, that's because I would train them up like that, and then I would condense in with her. The main issue the UK has that I've played so far is just how to train all of those ships at the start of the game. So I usually train them
Thanks,
up in
Woofer.
that.
Now he's never gonna shut up. Go
So
on.
true. Anyway, I think let's start looking at wrapping up then, pair. I think we've covered quite a lot today. So I'm quite happy with that. How about you?
Also, Visual Studio Code is a little bit of overkill for a plan like that. Maybe Notepad.
You know, you never know. Oh, there we are. Can you just remove the Navy and the air? It's too confusing.
I mean, technically, you don't have to use them. Right?
I wouldn't be surprised if there's a mod that actually does remove them.
Oh, probably, yeah.
There probably is a mod that removes them. Now, personally, I would recommend that you look at how you can break down what is it that you're having difficulties with. And potentially, you know, see if there are things that you can learn. But, yeah. Alright, well, what I'm going to leave you guys with today is a little bit of homework. In that we are going to be doing a live stream again, probably, was it 15 hours now, Pair? 15 hours from now?
Let's see, 12 plus 4. No, it's still 16, give or take. I mean,
Okay.
no one shows up on time, so let's say 16 hours.
Yeah. Yeah, we're going to be doing a live stream tomorrow, 1200 CST. We are going to be playing as Germany. We're going to be sharing / arguing with Mordred Viking, also known as Gareth, on how we are going to play. So make sure you bring your ear protectors, defenders, ear mufflers, maybe some popcorn, because we're going to be shouting, screaming, and probably a little bit of crying. And yeah, that's going to be quite a lot of fun. That'll be on this channel, twitch.tv/Paradox Interactive, as well as that also on the YouTube channel. Yeah. Anything from you, Per, before we wrap up?
Well, just since you mention it, how much are you going to buff the AI this time?
Enough that we feel good about ourselves, but not enough that I will turn up on Monday crying my eyes out.
Good, yeah. Because last time that was fun up to a point, but...
For people who don't know, we buffed up Germany. Sorry, I think it was actually Italy that was super buffed. Norman, I will drop you a message after the stream, or after this stream, and we can maybe talk about it. Yeah, I think plan for now is we've got, I think 8 or 9 people at the minute, so we'll have a look. Yeah. Thanks so much for joining us, everyone. If there are things that you would like to see us cover again in a future stream, be sure to consider putting that on the Paradox forums, put it on Reddit, or on the official Discord, just so that way we know that you know it's content that you guys are interested in. And yeah, other than that, just have a fantastic rest of your day. Take care of yourselves, and yeah, we'll see you guys tomorrow. Take care.
Have a good weekend. See you tomorrow.